to Scary Stories.
The trailhead isn't on the map. Grace finds it just past the switchback near the ridgeline, where the wind always feels a little wrong, like it sighs out but never in. A narrow opening in the tree line, no wider than her shoulders, just there. No markers, no broken branches, no signs of footsteps. But it wants her. She steps off the main path with the weight of someone who's already made up their mind. The silence greets her like velvet stretched over teeth. The forest beyond is older, quieter. Each tree leans in just slightly, the bark like dark veins. Moss carpets the ground in green-gray waves, and her boots make no sound when they press down. The usual bird song is gone, no buzzing of insects. Just the hum, low and constant, like the earth itself is holding its breath. Grace doesn't notice. The hush until she tries to speak, just to hear something, anything. Hello? The word falls flat, consumed. No echo, no response. Just the soft stir of leaves behind her, though no wind moves through the trees. She hikes for another hour, deeper than she should, until the trail disappears altogether. It doesn't end. It dissolves. Branches thicken. Sunlight weakens. She doesn't panic, not yet. She's done backcountry before. She's good with a compass, better with instinct. And her instinct says this place shouldn't exist. But she pitches her tent anyway. There's a clearing just large enough for her small shelter. The air is thick with the scent of pine needles, and something sweeter, something faintly metallic. She doesn't cook, she doesn't eat, she just lies down. The forest feels like a cathedral, and she doesn't want to disturb it more than she already has. She falls asleep without knowing it, and dreams of roots, not just beneath the earth, above her, beside her, crawling like fingers beneath the skin of the forest. In her dream they pulse, they breathe. One wraps gently around her ankle and tugs. She wakes, gasping. The tent is untouched, but her right boot is unlaced. Mud streaks the floor, and her hands, trembling, smell faintly of soil. She wipes them on her pants, heart kicking against her ribs, and crawls out into the gray morning light. Dew paints the leaves like sweat. She looks back toward the trail. It's gone. No sign of how she entered. No broken twigs. No indentation of passage. Just trees. And somewhere, among them, a clearing that watches. She turns slowly, scanning the edges of the space. That's when she notices the rocks. 6 of them, each arranged in a near-perfect circle around her camp. Each no larger than a clenched fist, and all covered in black moss. They weren't there last night. She walks to one, kneels. The moss twitches beneath her fingers, not recoiling, responding. She recoils. Her palms feel raw now. The pads of her fingers pulse with tiny electric pinches. She gathers her gear quickly, packs fast, tight, but when she turns to fold the tent, it's already down, laid flat, like something pressed it gently to the ground in the night. The stakes are still in place. Nothing's torn, but the ground beneath it is damp and warm. She hikes without trail or direction, using the sun to orient herself north. But the trees seem to repeat. A split-trunk pine, a red maple with 3 curls in the bark, a dead birch with a hollow mouth. She passes them again and again, like she's walking in a circle that isn't circular, a spiral, and every time she looks behind her, the prints she just made are gone, erased, by soft moss or something beneath it. She stops midday, drinks water, closes her eyes, just for a second. The hum returns, louder now, like a chorus of insects that don't exist, and beneath it, a new sound. Breathing, not hers, from the trees, not around her, within them. The bark rises and falls in slow pulses, as if lungs are buried just beneath the grain. She doesn't scream. She walks. She walks until her legs feel hollow, and her mouth tastes of copper and ash. And just as she's about to give up, to collapse, the clearing reappears. Her clearing. The tent is standing again. Perfectly pitched, zipped. Her boots placed neatly at the flap, and a ring of rocks, new ones, surround it once more. This time, there are 7. Morning arrives as it always does in the forest, slow and pale and heavy with mist. But today, the light doesn't reach Grace's skin. It just hovers above her, like it's afraid to touch. She unzips the tent and steps out barefoot. Her boots are gone, not stolen. Placed. They rest beside a path she doesn't remember seeing. A narrow ribbon of flattened moss that winds behind the trees. She follows it. The air thickens with each step. Warmer than it should be. Damp. The smell of wet stone and old timber curls around her like memory. And then, through a gap in the trees, cabin. Small, crooked, not newly built but not decayed. The wood looks damp but untouched by mold. Ivy grips the sides like fingers. No chimney, but thin white smoke pours from a hole in the slanted roof. Grace blinks. Her pack is still on her back. The morning dew still clings to her hair. But the cabin smells like it's been expecting her. She steps closer. The door hangs slightly ajar, not swung open, just cracked wide enough for an invitation to slither through. The handle is rusted, but warm. She pushes it. It doesn't creak. The door opens, soundlessly, revealing a single room. A table, a chair, a small wood stove glowing orange at its belly, though no firewood is stacked nearby. And on the table, a teacup, pale porcelain, etched with vines. Steam curls from it, sweet and bitter. She hasn't boiled water. She hasn't even unpacked. But the kettle sits on the stove, whistling. She backs out, heart beginning to tick louder, faster. The world outside the doorway feels too still, like a breath held too long. But the forest behind her has changed. The path is gone. No moss trail, no footprints, just trees, close, watching. Grace steps back inside, closes the door, not out of trust, out of inevitability. The warmth here is thick, oppressive, comforting in the way a mouth might be to something swallowed. She sits, not because she wants to, because the chair is already pulled out, and her legs ache in a way that suggests she's been walking much longer than she remembers. The tea smells of anise and mint. She doesn't drink, but the cup lowers itself slightly, as if nudged. The liquid ripples from the floorboards below. She leans down, puts her ear to the ground. There's movement beneath the cabin, not rodents, not pipes. Breathing, slow, shuddering, rhythmic, as if something massive sleeps under the floor, and the kettle's whistle is timed to its exhale. She pulls her head back, catches her reflection in the tea. Only, it's not quite right. Her face looks softer, eyes darker. Smile. Wrong, wider than she remembers, and it's already smiling before she does. Grace knocks the cup over. The tea spills thick and red. Not water, not blood, something between. It soaks into the table, disappears before it can drip. The stove crackles louder, a metal exhale that sounds like a whisper in reverse. And then, the door opens again. But she's locked it. It didn't click open. It simply was open. A breeze moves in. With it, the scent of burnt soil and sweet rot. Grace stands. The table is clean now. No cup. No stain. Just a sheet of yellowed paper. She leans forward. On it, handwritten in faint, crooked lines. One night here. Then it begins. She grabs the note, but it crumbles in her hand, becomes ash. The walls of the cabin feel closer now. Filler corners darker. She opens the door to leave, but the forest outside isn't the same. The trees are thicker, the clearing smaller, and every branch points inward, toward the cabin, toward her. She turns back. There's now a bed in the corner. She didn't see it before, but it looks used. Indentation in the pillow. Blanket turned back. And on the pillow, a single hair. Long and dark and curling like it's still trying to grow. Grace doesn't want to stay, but her limbs move without urgency, drawn by a tiredness that isn't hers. She lies down, closes her eyes, and just before sleep comes, she hears the breathing below the floorboards shift, as if it has turned to listen. Darkness in the cabin does not behave like ordinary night. It comes in pieces, not a sudden fall, but a slow smothering. The corners dim first, pulling inward like bruises. Then the ceiling fades, then the floor. The fire in the stove doesn't flicker. It sinks, becomes a dull red wound in metal, and Grace. She lies in the strange bed, eyes open, pulse slow. Something about this place makes her body forget movement. Sleep should come. It doesn't. Instead, the cabin listens. The walls breathe so quietly that she almost doesn't notice. Until she does. Until the breath begins to shape itself. Not a voice yet, just sound learning to become. It starts in the walls. Low hum. No melody, no language. Like the memory of speech. Grace sits up. The bed creaks, but not loud. More like a sigh. A shared breath between old timber and the girl now inside it. She places her feet on the floor. The wood is warm, not residual warmth, not heat from the stove. Alive. It pulses once, then again. She leans down, places her palm to the floorboard. A breath exhales beneath her hand. Hot, slow, measured. It's listening to her, and imitating. She whispers, "Hello?" No answer. Just a vibration, the kind you feel, in your teeth, not your ears, like something deep in the earth is testing syllables. She stays like that for a long time, half kneeling, half afraid, until the sound begins to shift, not louder, clearer, like it's rising through soil, forming, stretching, trying. Gra! It stops, just short of her name, but not short enough. She snatches her hand back, and the floor pulses again, once, twice, like a heartbeat, but deeper, a rhythm with intention. She stands quickly, but the air in the cabin has thickened. It pushes against her skin, syrup thick, as if the room itself is reluctant to let her rise. She stumbles to the door, grips the handle, opens it. Fog. No forest, no path, just white that moves like breath on glass. The trees are hidden. The world beyond is erased, and in the fog, movement. Something tall, not walking, gliding. She slams the door shut, turns. The cabin is no longer one room. Now there's a hallway. Narrow, wrong. It stretches into darkness that swallows light. Where the bed was, now only dust. No warmth. No sign she ever laid there. But the whispers have grown bolder. The floorboards quiver with each syllable. Trying again. Gray us. Like a child learning to speak. Too wet. Too slow. Too close. She backs away, but the hallway draws her gaze. The darkness there is magnetic, like falling without the motion. And at the very end, a door, barely visible. but it's there, with a faint light beneath it, and shadows that move the wrong way. Upward, not down. Grace knows she shouldn't go. She knows that walking down that hall is the same as walking into something's mouth, but her feet slide forward. Not willingly, not forced. Something in between. A pull. The hallway stretches longer the further. She walks. The whispers press against the walls now. Dozens, maybe hundreds. All wrong. All versions of her name, distorted, fractured, repeated. Like 1,000 mouths trying to wear her voice like clothing. She reaches the door, touches the knob. Cold. Finally something cold, but behind the door, the voices stop, all of them. Not silence. Stillness. The kind of stillness that comes before something, a breath held by a world that's about to scream. She opens it. The room is empty. No furniture, no windows, just dirt. A floor of soil, not wood, and something beneath it. Not moving, not breathing, waiting. She steps inside. The door closes behind her. Locks. Click. Not with metal, with intention. The air hums, and then the soil at her feet rises, like it's inhaling, like lungs just beneath the surface have awakened. And they know her, because when she speaks, her voice doesn't sound like her anymore. It sounds doubled. 2 tones, one above, one far below, echoes of a voice practiced in the floorboards. She falls to her knees. The ground beneath her is warm again, and her hand, when it touches the soil, sinks. Not in mud, in flesh. The forest has not let her go. The cabin has not forgotten her, and now, something else knows her name. The morning does not arrive. Only a dimming of the darkness, enough to call it day, but not enough to believe it. Grace walks. The cabin is behind her. At least she hopes it is. Though when she glances back, she sees only the trees, tall and still and watching. There is no trail, only the vague memory of one. Her feet find the softest places to land. Patches where the moss is thick, where the ground gives like sponge cake soaked in something old, where roots reach up through the soil like something trying to remember how to climb. She should be afraid, but the fear has become ambient, like fog, like silence, like the taste in her mouth that won't leave. Time drips. Each minute stretches. Each footstep feels like a question she never asked. The forest is not loud, but it's not quiet either. There is a sound here, a low hum beneath all things, like a throat clearing just beneath the surface. Every tree wears bark like old skin, and some of them are marked. At first, it's just a scratch, then a swirl, then a letter. G, she stops. The carving is crude, too high for a person to reach without climbing, but not impossible. She walks on. Another tree. GR. This one deeper. The bark peeled in small, curling edges, like someone dug with their nails. She swallows, keeps walking, because going back feels worse than going forward. GRA. The letters begin to appear more often now, as if she's walking through a sentence carved slowly by a hand that never needed to rest. She doesn't remember giving her name to anyone, not aloud, not since arriving, but something knows. She finds her hand tracing the bark, feeling the cuts. They're fresh, no moss in them yet, still bleeding sap like open wounds. The trees are bleeding her name. She begins to notice other things. The moss along the roots curls and spirals, just like the ones behind her eyes when she dreams. There are shapes in the undergrowth, circles, nested symbols. too deliberate to be accidents. She pauses near one tree and sees it. Not the mark, the eye closed just beneath the bark, as if the tree grew around it, sealed it shut, but still, watching. She moves on, but the woods press tighter. Branches hang lower, the canopy grows heavy, and the light, what little there is, begins to thin. She sees something new, a clearing, no grass, no moss, just bare soil in the shape of a circle, and in the center a stump, wide, flat, and wrong. Its surface is smooth, not chopped, polished, worn down by time or hands or both. She steps into the clearing, and immediately feels it. The silence. Not the absence of sound, the presence of attention. The forest is watching this place, holding its breath. She approaches the stump and sees what's carved into the top. Her name. Not letters. The sound of it. Not written, not drawn. Carved in the shape of how it feels in the mouth. Twisted symbols, like phonetic bones. She backs away. The trees creak behind her. Not in the wind, but as if shifting their weight. As if they are leaning. Closer. The hum in the earth deepens, a vibration that rides up her legs and into her skull, and she begins to remember. Things she hasn't seen. Memories that don't belong to her. A woman standing in this same clearing years ago. Face hidden in a shawl. Speaking to the trees in a language of teeth and roots. Offering something. Something alive. The trees answered her. Not with words. With a storm. Lightning split the sky. The ground opened, and from it rose, not a person, not a thing, but a need, a hunger wrapped in memory, that took root here, and has not slept since. Grace stumbles back. Her foot catches on something. She falls, not far, but into something soft, not earth. Hair, long, dark, matted into the dirt. Attached to something just beneath the surface. She screams, but the forest does not echo her. It swallows the sound. The soil writhes, tiny things burrow backward to escape, and the hair retracts, pulled by something with joints. She scrambles to her feet, breath short. The stump behind her hums now, vibrating like a bell, beneath 1,000 feet of dirt. She runs, branches reach, thorns prick, but the forest doesn't stop her. It lets her go, because it knows she's not leaving, not really, not yet, and as she flees, the last tree she passes splits down the middle. Not from age, from the inside. Something in it wakes, and carves her name again, deeper, wider. Grace. So she will not be forgotten. So she cannot forget herself. Grace doesn't sleep. Not truly. She lies in the crook of an old tree, knees pulled to chest, pack clutched against her stomach like armor. The canopy above her blots out the sky, but it doesn't matter. The sky hasn't shown itself in days. The air is still. It hangs in her mouth like breath not hers. Something presses against the edge of her mind. A soft, rhythmic murmur that doesn't belong to thought or dream. It is beneath dreaming, like a voice forming in the roots of her brain. At first, it's nothing, just the kind of static her mind plays when it's too tired to resist sleep. But it begins to shape. The syllables coil together, familiar in the worst way. And then it comes. You should not have come alone. The voice is hers, identical, same cadence, same breath, same wounded hush. It doesn't speak aloud. It arrives, like a memory she doesn't remember making. Grace bolts upright. The forest stares. Silence follows. But not peace. She clutches her own throat as if to feel the echo in her vocal cords, to prove she didn't say it. She didn't. And still, it repeats. Not aloud, not again, but imprinted like a watermark. Across her thoughts, You should not have come alone. She tears a page from her journal. Pencil scratches wild, but when she looks down at what she's written, she freezes. She didn't write words. She drew a symbol, a circle, not quite closed, intersected by an inverted tree. Its branches pierce upward like knives. Its roots twist, like veins. She doesn't know what it means, but her hand does. She drops the pencil. It rolls, stops against her boot. The forest hums low. She walks again. Hours, maybe days. She stopped counting. Time tastes stale here. Every path leads back into itself. Sometimes she thinks she hears water. Sometimes a voice. Always her own. Not spoken. Not sound at all. Just impressions. Thoughts that aren't hers. But where her face, her tone, her hunger. The voice inside grows bolder. Sometimes it says nothing, just laughs, her laugh, but too long, too wet. Like it learned to mimic her by peeling it from a corpse. She covers her ears, but it doesn't matter. The voice isn't in her ears. It's in the bark, the stone, the breath between branches. It's in the spaces no sound should fit. At one point she tries to scream, just to hear her real voice. Something human, something separate. But when she opens her mouth, the voice that comes out isn't hers. It sounds like her, but it's too calm, too confident. It says, "Let me out." She claps both hands over her lips, stumbles backward, breath ragged. No sound follows. The forest doesn't answer, because it doesn't need to. It has already entered. That night she builds no fire. She knows the light will only make her visible, and something in these woods prefers shadows. She presses her notebook to her chest and curls into herself. Sleep is not kind, but neither is wakefulness. Somewhere between the two she dreams. She is walking barefoot. The forest floor is soft, too soft, as if the moss is made of skin. She hears singing, a lullaby, a woman's voice, low, aching. It sings in a tongue she doesn't recognize, but the meaning bleeds through the melody. The body forgets, the roots remember, the mouth forgets, but the voice remains. She tries to turn away, but her feet do not obey. They keep walking toward the sound, and, in the dream, she begins to mouth the words, unwillingly, perfectly, as if the lullaby was hers all along. Grace wakes to blood on her hands. Not much, just a smear. From her fingertips down her wrist, her notebook is open, a page torn. The torn page is tacked to a nearby tree, pressed flat with 3 small stones. The symbol is back. But this time, there's a word beneath it, written in her handwriting. Speak. She did not write it. She did not wake to write it. And yet the pencil is still warm from her fingers. She backs away slowly, but the voice inside her is louder now. It doesn't whisper. It breathes. Speak. 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 The word crawls up her spine, itches behind her eyes. She bites the inside of her cheek. Blood blooms. The taste centers her, for a moment, only a moment, because now the forest is humming again, not through the trees, but through her teeth, resonating in her bones. She falls to her knees, coughs, and with the cough comes a whisper. We're almost done being strangers. Grace no longer marks the trail. There is no trail. What passes for a path coils in on itself like a looping thought, one she can't unthink. She tries to tell herself this isn't madness. Madness is wild, irrational. But this is methodical. Remembering. Every time she passes a tree, it feels familiar. Not just the trees. The moss, the curve of roots, even the silence. She begins to see things carved into trunks. Not just scars, but deliberate inscriptions. Symbols, rough and deep. Her symbol, the not-quite circle, the inverted tree, and beneath it, scratched in her own jagged, recognizable hand, "I was here." She didn't carve it. She swears she didn't, but the tree doesn't care. It's older than her lies. Grace stops walking around midday, or what she thinks is midday. The light never changes, just a constant bruised dusk. She kneels beside a gnarled stump and runs her fingers across a gouged bark. The moment her skin touches it, warmth spreads through her palm, like something alive, not beating, breathing. The message there reads, "I'm still here." She stumbles backward, stares at her hand. The warmth fades, but a red, shallow mark lingers in her palm, like the bark kissed her. She doesn't scream. Screaming feels obsolete here, like using your voice in a place that's already memorized it. That night, she dreams of eyes, not faces, just eyes, dozens of them. Buried, under leaves, set into bark, gleaming behind knotholes. They blink at her in slow, synchronized patterns, and then they all look left. She wakes, gasping, turns left. There, just beyond the outer reach of her firelight, is a tree. One she swears wasn't there before. Carved into its trunk. "Why did you come back?" She approaches it with trembling steps, touches the bark. It feels like skin. No, like skin remembering what bark is supposed to feel like. And as she rests her palm against it, she feels her pulse slow. The tree hums, and then, from somewhere deeper than roots, a whisper replies, "To become." Morning comes with no light, just a thinning of shadow. Grace is numb, but some numbness is a blessing. She walks. The voice inside her is quiet now. Too quiet. She's learned that silence means it's learning. It waits to imitate, to remember, to shape. She rounds a bend, or what seems like one, and sees a clearing, a fresh one, a circle of moss, perfectly round. No fallen leaves, no broken twigs. The wind doesn't cross it. Even the air avoids this space. She feels her breath catch, not in her throat, but like something outside her catching it before it leaves her mouth. She kneels, touches the moss. It's soft, yielding, and, beneath it, movement. Something shifts. Grace blinks. Then she digs, hands clawing through soft green velvet. The soil beneath is warm. She doesn't know why she digs, only that the forest wants her to see, wants her to remember. She uncovers it slowly, like revealing a buried photograph. First, the hair, matted, dark, still clinging to scalp. Then a forehead, flesh taut and dried. Then the eyes. They are open, cloudy, but unmistakably hers. Same color, same tilt, same faint scar under the brow from childhood. It's her face, buried here, mouth open in a scream shaped like soil. Grace does not move. The wind returns, but only around her. The clearing stays dead still, and then the voice from her own mouth, not aloud, but from within. "You left her here." Grace backs away, shaking, staring. She didn't bury anyone. She doesn't remember. She couldn't. "You left me." The voice rises. Now it echoes from the trees, from the dirt, from beneath her skin. She turns and runs. The forest doesn't stop her, but it watches and records. She collapses hours later, breath ragged, throat raw though she hasn't spoken. She stares at her hands. They're shaking, dirty, but something else. Tiny cuts along each finger, as if she's scratched symbols in her sleep. She turns her hand. In her palm, a perfect, raw carving of the circle and tree, done with her own nails. She curls her hand into a fist, not out of strength, but to hide it from the trees. She doesn't want them to see, doesn't want them to know, but the air is already humming, and the voice returns, soft now, lovingly. We remember what you forgot. Grace does not wake naturally. She is called awake, a soft whisper like breath through the roots. Grace. Drawn out, hung in the damp air like smoke. She opens her eyes. The forest is motionless, but she knows the voice came from below. Not from behind a tree or from some imagined distance, from beneath her, from the soil, from the root. She sits up in her tent, but it's no longer where she left it. The fabric is damp with dew, though the trees should have caught the rain. The earth beneath her mat pulses almost imperceptibly, but just enough to make her teeth clack softly together in rhythm. She crawls outside and sees them, the roots, not buried, not half hidden. They've risen, webbed and gnarled, sprawled across the ground like dark veins, like something has shed its skin. And this is what lay underneath. They crisscross the forest floor, thick and black and wet-looking, everywhere. And they move, slow, barely. But when she blinks, they've shifted again, like they're reaching, like they know her name. She stands, barefoot, cold mud between her toes. The moment she puts weight on her heel, pain. She lifts her foot. A root has broken the skin, thin and needled like a thorn. It's drawn blood. One drop. The root quivers. And then, just beneath her other foot, Grace. The earth exhales her name, like a lover murmuring in sleep. She stumbles back. The root does not follow. Not yet. But it pulses, like a heartbeat, her heartbeat. She begins walking. There is no choice anymore. Not really. She could sit. She could run. She could scream. But the forest would still remember. Every branch she passes dips slightly. Every tree she brushes against bears her name, some in carved slashes, some in blooming fungi, some in red, too red, sap. It oozes slowly, almost deliberately, spelling Grace again and again. On one trunk it reads, Grace left herself here. On another, she walked away once, she won't again. And on a large, splintered stump, Grace isn't Grace anymore. The forest floor grows, soft, mushy. Each step now leaves behind something of her, not just footprints, but small pieces, a smear of blood, a strand of hair caught on a low branch, a whisper clinging to the mist. Who is she now? The trees seem to ask. She doesn't know. Her memories are strange. She remembers a porch, a dog's bark, a mother's lullaby, one that always ended before the final line. But now, when she tries to recall the tune, it's replaced by wind through dead leaves, soft, circular, like the forest is replacing her lullabies with its own. By mid-afternoon, if such a time still exists, she comes to a rock, not large, not shaped like anything important, but her name is carved there too. Not Grace. Graceline Ruth March. Her full name. One she hasn't said aloud in years. No one calls her that. Not even her mother. She stares at the letters. Fresh. Not weathered. Not faded. The earth knows her. She moves away. Faster now. But the roots keep rising. Some peek out like fingers. Some coil like ropes, dragging across her ankles as if testing her warmth. Her foot strikes something. Hard. She falls, face in the moss, hands splayed, and when she lifts her palm, bark has imprinted itself into her skin. No symbol, just lines. But the more she stares, they begin to move, forming words, forming her name, burned into her flesh, though there's no pain, just a sense of acceptance. Like the forest is simply making a record, stamping her into the archive. That night, she refuses to sleep. Not because she's afraid of dreams, but because she knows the forest dreams with her. Instead, she sits against a tree. One that hums a little louder than the rest. One that feels like it's breathing. She whispers to it, "What do you want from me?" The bark splits, just slightly, and inside, teeth, a mouth, closed tight, flesh wrapped in wood, not chewing, smiling. She backs away, not screaming, that would be useless. But her breathing quickens, and the mouth moves. A voice, not hers, not the forest's, something older, mocking. "You asked to be remembered." She runs again. This time the trees do not shift. They let her go, let her tire herself, let her peel herself down to the bone. And when she collapses, face to the ground, she hears it again. Not her name, but another voice, behind her, softer than moss. A child's voice, calling, "Gracelyn, can we come out now?" She doesn't turn around. She can't, because she remembers now. Just a flicker, a game, a hiding place, a dare. A door in the woods she never should have opened. The voice doesn't fade, it lingers, like fog across glass. Grace walks forward because there's no other direction left. Behind her, the forest closes, not loudly, not forcefully, just inevitably. "Gracelyn?" The child's voice again. Sweet, rotten. She should be afraid of it. But something about it drags up an ache in her chest, like remembering a dream that made her cry, even though she didn't know why. The trail is softer now, springy, as if moss covers everything, even the air. Every step makes no sound. Even when she crunches over twigs, nothing answers back. It's like her weight has no meaning anymore, like she's only half here. Trees widen. Their trunks curl like ribs around a clearing she doesn't remember finding. But she must have come here before. There's no other way she'd know to stop, to hold her breath, to lower her head without thinking. A ring of stones sits in the center, pale gray, cracked like skin in the cold. They're not arranged, not placed. They've grown. She sees it in the way their roots twist beneath the soil. Yes, roots. Like they're part of the forest, not separate from it, and they pulse gently, as if they're breathing, or listening. She crouches near the edge of the ring, not daring to step inside. Something about the space feels sacred, but not holy, raw, exposed, a wound that never healed. The wind circles her ears, whispering words she doesn't understand, but her body reacts to them anyway. Her spine tightens, her lungs hitch, and her lips part. She doesn't mean to speak, but the forest uses her mouth. A sound escapes her, not English, not anything from the world, of roads and cell towers and porch lights. It's older, a syllable that cracks like thunder and weeps like something left behind. And once it leaves her, the stones answer back. They echo, but not as stone, as voices. So many voices, children, mothers, Men with broken words, and women with no tongues. All of them speak at once, not layered, not chaotic, harmonized. Grace drops to her knees, not in worship, not in terror, but in grief. It pours into her like dark water, and she realizes they're mourning, not her, not yet, but someone, or something. Gracelyn, the child again, but this time not behind her. Within the ring, she lifts her eyes. There's no one there. Just a shallow indentation in the moss, like a small body once lay there, or still does. The moss curves too perfectly, too gently. A grave, shaped by memory, and surrounding it. Twigs braided like hair, small bones nestled like teeth in a mouth. One of them bears scratch marks, 5 lines, like fingers trying to claw out. Grace wants to run. She wants her body back, her name back, her voice back. But she knows, somehow, this is the price of remembering. The price of walking this far into the woods and not turning around. So she speaks again. Only this time, the voice is hers. I'm sorry. The wind stops. The voices go silent. Even the roots seem to still. And for the first time in what feels like years, Grace hears something new. Footsteps. Small, approaching. A girl steps into the ring, no older than 10. Hair dark and tangled with leaves. Eyes black as wet bark. She doesn't look at Grace. She looks at the stones, at the moss grave, and then she smiles. Not sweetly, not kindly, but knowingly, like someone recognizing themselves in a mirror. You're late, the girl says. Grace opens her mouth, but nothing comes out. The girl tilts her head. Don't you remember? Grace shakes her head. The girl sighs, crouching beside the grave. She touches the moss like it's something delicate. You promised you'd come back. She looks up. You said you'd dig me up, so I wouldn't be alone. Grace's knees shake. Her voice returns, broken. I don't know you. The girl only smiles wider. No one does, not after they leave. That's the forest's kindness. She points to a tree just beyond the ring. Grace looks. Her own face stares back from the bark, hollowed into it, like a carving. Not just any carving, a mask. Grace's eyes, Grace's mouth open, screaming. You screamed a lot, the girl says, but you left anyway. Grace falls backward. The stones pulse again. Whispers return. Not mourning now. Something else. Welcoming. The child kneels beside her, places a cold hand on her chest. You died here once. She presses harder. And now you're remembering how. The forest breathes in, and Grace's body flattens, melts, softens like wet paper. She sees herself from above, sprawled, eyes wide, lips cracked open in the shape of her name, and the trees lean closer, to listen, to watch, to finish what they started. The forest does not move, but it shifts, like a breath held too long, like a mouth just about to speak. The roots are rising. Grace feels them beneath her feet before she sees them. Thin tendrils, slick and blind, threading through the moss. Searching, not for warmth, not for water, for her. She steps back, or tries to. The earth is soft now, too soft. Sponge-like, decayed, it clings to her boots like wet skin. Sucks at her soles like it doesn't want her to leave, as if she ever truly could. The child is gone. So is the ring of stones. In their place, a hollow clearing veiled in fog, shaped like a memory Grace doesn't want to have. She looks up. The trees lean closer, not with menace, but with expectation. They know something she doesn't. Or maybe they just remember it better. A low sound rumbles through the clearing. Not thunder. Not wind. It's deeper. Like the groan of old wood, or the sigh of something buried too long. A knot of roots splits open near her heel. Inside, nestled in the pulp of earth, is a child's shoe, wrought black, threadbare, and small enough to break her heart. Grace stares, and then the memories come. Not her own. They rise through the soil like steam, seeping into her legs, curling up her spine, seating themselves behind her eyes. A flicker of a girl in a red coat, running, screaming, no sound coming out. A boy with his arms bent the wrong way, tied to a tree by hair instead of rope. A mother, sobbing into moss, feeding her grief to the soil with each shaking breath. All of them, swallowed, and the forest kept their shapes. She clutches her head. The voices are louder now, but they don't scream. They remember. Every child who wandered too far. Every whisper no one listened to. Every disappearance blamed on wolves or cold or madness. But it was never those things. It was this. This place. This hunger. Roots coil around her ankles. Not tight. Not yet. But suggestive. Like a hand reaching for your face, not to strike, but to recognize you. A root brushes her cheek. It feels wet, warm, alive. It pulses once, and suddenly she knows. They're not just remembering others. They're remembering her, the girl, the one from before. The one who said, "You promised you'd dig me up." Grace falls to her knees. Not from fear. From knowing. She's been here before. She died here before. Not in body, but in silence. She ran. She forgot. She left someone behind. And the forest, being what it is, never forgets. The roots shift. From the mud, a hand-shaped knot rises, fingers gnarled like driftwood, palm cradling something round. A locket, caked in rot, still clasped. Her fingers move on their own. Open it. Inside, a picture. A face that looks like hers. Smiling. Clean. Untouched by anything she's just seen. But beside it, a smaller face. A child. Eyes blurred from water damage. But familiar. Too familiar. She gasps, and the trees respond, not with movement, but with words, whispered not into her ears, but through them. Say her name. The ground trembles. Say her name. The fog curls into symbols. Say her name. And Grace understands. This is her penance. This is her grave. And the roots want a confession. She tries. Her throat burns. The name sits behind her teeth, a sharp little thing with thorns. The air tightens. I left her. The wind stops. I ran. The roots retract. A moment of mercy, and then, I never told anyone. I never went back. The ground opens fully now. A hole, too narrow for a body, but just right for a soul. The voice returns. But it's not the child. It's hers, from somewhere deep below. You buried me with your silence. Grace falls forward, unable to stop herself. The earth accepts her gently, like it's been waiting for this. Inside the pit, bones, hair, a torn piece of cloth with cartoon bears on it, a child's shirt, and just above the remains, a tangle of dried flowers. Daisies, her favorite. She doesn't cry. She doesn't scream. She simply remembers. And the trees sigh with her. A sound like breath escaping wood. Like peace, maybe. Or patience. The clearing darkens. The roots retreat. The fog thickens. Grace lays her palm flat over the remains. I remember you now. And the name comes. Simple. Small. A gift. Lena. The wind returns, but it feels warmer now. For a moment, she swears the bones beneath her soften, like a child sinking into sleep. But the peace doesn't last. From deeper below, another voice stirs, not the girl, not Grace. Something older, a memory that doesn't belong to her, that never should. The pit trembles, the moss curls back, and a shape begins to rise. Not bone, not root, something in between. The pit doesn't close, it yawns, wider, deeper, hungrier. The roots that once cradled Grace now recede like afraid children, pulling back from the thing rising through the soil. It is not bone, it is not flesh, but it remembers both. A shape, wrong in posture but intimate in outline, presses upward through the layers of rot and sediment, not crawling, not walking, but becoming. Grace can't move, not paralyzed, just still, held by the gravity of it, as if what's rising has made her a moon caught in its orbit. It isn't the girl. It isn't Lena. It isn't even Grace's guilt. It's older. And it doesn't want forgiveness. It wants to be named. The forest does not breathe, not anymore. Every branch holds its breath. Every root stiffens in reverence. And the fog gathers not around the pit, but above it, like a crown or a halo made of ash. The shape rises to its full height, no taller than a child, but its shadow stretches longer than any night. It has no face, but Grace knows it is looking at her. It has no mouth, but she can feel it smiling with something just beneath. The bark, her knees hit the moss, and the earth gives slightly, like it too bows when this thing comes near. She speaks, not aloud, not in words, but in the language of buried things. I didn't mean to wake you. The shape tilts, then straightens. It does not speak, but Grace hears it anyway. You already did. Her vision flickers, not with blindness, with memory. Except, these aren't hers, not Lena's, not even human. They are memories with moss under their nails, and rot in their lungs. Memories of others who dared to remember what should not be recalled, of offerings made, of children given, of silence kept and paid for over and over. Generation after generation, this forest has always taken, but only now does it return. The shape steps forward, each movement soft, yet seismic in its consequence. The fog parts before it, not from fear, but obedience. It carries something now, a bundle wrapped in barkskin and thread. Grace stares, her mouth dries. She knows what it is, a part of her, taken, long ago, when she ran. The day she broke the circle and never looked back, her voice, her silence, her promise. The shape lays the bundle before her. It pulses once, like a heart remembering how to beat, then splits. Inside, a dress, small, faded, the same one Lena wore, except it's wrong. Too many sleeves, too many buttons, as if it was meant for more than one body, or something that was never meant to wear clothing at all. Grace backs away, but the forest doesn't let her. The roots don't grab. They guide, gently, firmly, like hands behind her back leading her to the altar. The shape gestures, an invitation, a demand. Take it. Her fingers shake as they brush the dress. It's dry, but cold. So cold it feels like she's holding the memory of a scream. And when she lifts it, a sound escapes the trees. The same laugh Lena used to make, but slowed, broken, looped, like a child's toy running out of batteries. The bundle's weight disappears, and with it, the shape's attention. It turns and begins walking. Into the trees. Not away. Through them. And where it passes, the bark peels. The ground trembles. The air thickens. It leaves no footprints. But every leaf it passes turns gray. Grace stands. She doesn't follow. She knows she will. Not because she wants to, but because it's already inside her now. She turns once more to the pit. Empty. No bones. No locket. No daisies. Just wet moss and the faint outline of her knees pressed into the earth. She could lie down. Let it take her. But the shape has spared. Her, for now. And sparing in this place is never kindness. It is responsibility. It means she has to carry it. Whatever it is. She presses the dress to her chest. Feels it tighten. Feels something move inside the folds. It's breathing. Not her. Not Lena. Something else. Something woken. Her feet begin to move. One step, then another. Not toward safety. There is none. But toward the direction the shape disappeared into. The trees part. Not out of grace, out of recognition. She belongs now, not to herself, to what comes next. A new path stretches before her. Thinner, darker, made of things that never see the sun. And on the wind, a voice that sounds almost like her mother's, calling, begging. But Grace knows that voice, knows it died long ago, knows it was buried in a box that never made it home. Still, it calls, because now it can, because she opened the grave, because she remembered the name. I remember screaming, not mine though, someone else. Maybe Benji, maybe Emma. The world had become a spinning mess of white streaks and firelight. Then, nothing. When I woke, my face was pressed against snow, blood in my mouth. The wreckage of the plane hissed behind me, parts of it still burning, black smoke drifting upward like a funeral veil against the jagged Himalayan skyline. Dr. Adrian Blake was already moving, his parka scorched on one side. Get up, Logan, now. 6 of us had survived. Out of 12, Jonas Creed, our hired mountain guide, was shouting in Nepali into the freezing wind. Emma Reyes was pulling someone from under a twisted metal frame. Benji Malone was sobbing quietly, clutching a broken radio. Travis Harlow, he was already taking inventory of the gear, ever the businessman. Our research trip, meant to study glacial movement patterns, had ended in carnage. And then the cold came. We bundled into the remaining fuselage. Fires wouldn't last, neither would food. Emma sat close to me, shivering, her cheeks raw from the wind. Jonas warned us not to venture far. You think blizzards kill you fast? He asked. Try curiosity, that kills quicker. That night, as I drifted between sleep and shock, I heard something, a low, distant thud, not thunder, not rockfall. Something heavier. Alive. I sat up. The snow outside glowed with reflected starlight. Silent. Until I saw the tracks. Massive. Deep. Not human. Not bare. Something had walked around the wreckage. In the morning, the pilot's body was gone. We'd left him outside, wrapped in thermal cloth. But now only blood remained. No dragging marks. No animal tracks nearby. Jonas examined the snow. It's watching. What is? Emma asked. Jonas didn't answer. Just walked away. Travis muttered, "Wolves, maybe." But even he didn't believe that. Benji tried the radio again. Crackles, screeches, then silence. It's like something's jamming it. Dr. Blake announced we had to move toward the old weather station mapped 10 kilometers east. There's warmth, gear, food, maybe power. 10 kilometers in sub-zero hell. With something big stalking us. We packed what we could. Tents, dried food, a flare gun with only 2 rounds. As we walked, the snow got deeper. The sky grew heavier. My breath began to crystallize mid-air. But it wasn't the cold that haunted me. It was the feeling of being followed. Travis tried to joke. Just think, once this is over, we can sue the expedition team for millions. Emma snapped at him. Shut up, Travis. Jonas found something in the ice halfway through the march. Claw marks gouged deep into a stone wall, 3 feet long, not weathered. Fresh. We sheltered in a shallow cave that night. Emma built a fire from twigs Jonas gathered. Dr. Blake examined strange red pigment on the cave walls. It's old, maybe prehistoric. It looked like a crude drawing of a creature, standing over kneeling humans. Sacrifice? Worship? Benji didn't speak all evening. Just stared at the mouth of the cave. When we slept, it was restless. I dreamed of something moving in the snow. Something too large to exist. I awoke to a sound, a groan, like massive lungs drawing breath. But it wasn't human. By morning, one of us was gone. Harold, the intern. He'd screamed, we realized, in the dark, but the wind had carried it away. We found his scarf torn and bloodied, hanging from a high branch, 20 feet up. No man could reach that high. Emma broke down. We're not alone. Logan, this mountain isn't empty. I didn't tell her I agreed. I didn't say I saw eyes in the night. 2 shimmering pale orbs far across the ridge, watching, unblinking. Jonas whispered to me, "You don't run from it. It runs from fire." But only for a while. That evening, we found another body, but it wasn't ours, half buried in the snow, face frozen in terror, teeth shattered, eyes open, his chest torn open like a zipper, heart gone. Travis searched the man's gear and found something strange. A carved stone charm, runes we couldn't read. Dr. Blake took it immediately. It's from the local tribes, said to ward off the snow spirit. Jonas looked pale. You shouldn't touch it. Why? Because now it knows your name. That night, the fire wouldn't stay lit. Wind howled through the cave like a voice. We huddled close. Even Travis was quiet now. Benji began whispering gibberish. His fingers were blue. He scratched at the walls like he was trying to dig his way out, and just as I started to drift, I heard it again. Thud. Closer this time. And then a growl. Not like a bear, not like anything from this earth. A growl that sounded like glaciers grinding, bones crunching, time itself groaning. Then silence, until the last flare gun went off. And what we saw in the red glow, it shouldn't exist. We buried what we could. Harold's scarf, the man's shredded body, and whatever belief we had that this was just survival. Emma stood by the fire, eyes hollow, while Jonas sharpened a rusted knife on a flintstone. We set out again, toward the weather station. Dr. Blake now carried the stone charm around his neck. If it wards the spirit off, I want it close, he said. Travis just laughed, but it was hollow too. We're chasing myths now? Benji didn't laugh. He whispered, You shouldn't say its name. What name? I asked. He didn't answer. Halfway up the ridge, Jonas stopped walking. I nearly bumped into him. What is it? He knelt, motioned for silence. There in the snow were prints, huge, wide as dinner plates, 3 forward-facing toes, deep, fresh, sea. Hadn't seen snow since morning. These weren't here when we passed. Jonas stood slowly. It's following us, Travis scoffed. Or we're following it. No, Jonas said. It's leading us. The fog rolled in just before sundown, dense and cold like breathing in cotton. Benji began muttering to himself, clutching the broken radio like it was a baby. It's coming! It's coming! It's coming! We heard the scream at dusk, a long, high wail. Then another. Not close. Not human. A horrible, warbling shriek that bounced off the cliffs, echoed until it twisted into something like laughter. Emma froze beside me. That wasn't a person. No, I whispered. It was hunting. We found it just before camp. A tree, gnarled and twisted, coated in red handprints. Dozens of them. Small, large, some with claws, some with fingers. The bark was cracked, and in its center, someone had carved an eye. It bled sap like black blood. Dr. Blake was fascinated. Symbolic center of territory. A warning. Emma wasn't having it. No, this is a marker. We're in its land now. That night we barely slept. Something walked into our camp. We didn't see it, but we heard it. Heavy breathing, snow crunching, something sniffing the tents. I held my breath, knife in hand. Emma lay beside me, her hand tight in mine. She was shaking. Then, our fire blew out. Complete blackness. Benji let out a sob. A scream followed. We scrambled out to find Travis's tent, shredded open. But he was still there, alive, just unconscious. His face pale. Around his neck, the charm was missing. By morning, Jonas found a trail of blood. We followed it to a steep drop where the snow turned crimson. At the bottom, half buried, in the snow was another body. It wasn't one of ours. Older. Bones poking through. Backpack rotted, but near it was a camera. We pulled the SD card and tried to view it on Emma's emergency sat pad. The footage showed 3 people, hikers, laughing, then screaming, then running. The last shot was of something huge rushing toward them. Not blurry, clear, covered, in white fur, no eyes, just a dark mouth and long arms. The final frame, static. Jonas took us through a narrow pass. If we cut through here, we reach the station by dusk. The path wound into a forest, black trees rising like spears, and in the trees, skulls, hung from twine, frozen, cracked, human. Dozens of them. Tribal. Travis whispered. No tribe. Lives up here, Jonas replied. We kept moving until Benji stopped. There's one more skull, he said. Where? He pointed behind us. Ours. At dusk the wind changed. It carried something with it. A smell. Rot. Meat. Wet fur. Jonas said. Don't run. But it was too late. We heard it again. Thud. 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 Coming closer. Dr. Blake fired the flare. It rose into the sky, bright red. And there it was, standing at the tree line, 20 feet tall, hair like snow-drenched moss, its head tilted unnaturally, sideways, watching us. Then it moved. Fast. We scattered. Emma tripped, nearly slid off a cliff. I grabbed her, hauled her back, but Benji was screaming. He was being pulled away, dragged by something unseen. When we returned to the path, Benji was gone. But his voice still echoed through the pass, faint, repeating a single phrase. It's under the ice. It's under the ice. Dr. Blake found the charm again, placed beside our fire, now cracked down the center. Why would it give it back? Emma asked. Jonas whispered. "It's not done yet." We found where it sleeps. Benji was gone, but his whispers stayed behind in the wind. "It's under the ice." We marched with heavy legs, frostbitten toes, and dead eyes. Jonas led silently until we crested the final ridge. There it was, the weather station. Steel and rust, buried in snow, its antenna bent sideways. One shutter window banging in the wind. We had made it, but it didn't feel like rescue. It felt like a trap. The station was locked, but the door swung open at Jonas's touch. No power, no heat. The lights flickered once, then died. Inside, the hall smelled like old blood. We found bunks, broken tables, a smashed radio, and a set of dried footprints leading to the back room. Inside was a body, a researcher, long dead, dried skin, twisted neck, mouth stretched wide in horror. On the wall behind him was a phrase carved into the metal paneling: "Do not dig the ice." Dr. Blake found a hard drive sealed in an emergency locker. We powered it using a cracked solar battery Emma had kept hidden. The video played on a tiny screen. 6 researchers, smiling, digging. Then, strange noises, ice breaking, screams, running. The last image, a cave, glowing, and something inside it moving. The timestamp said they were only days ahead of us. Night fell like a curse. Travis claimed a bunk, muttering about how none of this mattered. He stared out the frosted window like he saw something. "I heard it whisper," he said. "What did it say?" Emma asked. Travis blinked. "It said my name." At 2 a.m., the door to the station opened, but no wind blew in, only silence. Jonas took me and Emma to the supply tunnel. "I didn't bring us here to hide," he said. "I brought us here to see what they found." A long tunnel led beneath the station, carved into the glacier. Old mining lights blinked on from backup power. We found a sealed hatch, welded shut with old warnings painted in red. Not a place for man. Jonas had a blowtorch, and he used it. The cave inside was not natural. Carved walls, geometric patterns, symbols etched into ice, bones scattered around a frozen altar. In the center, the relic Travis had taken, glowing faintly, but now cracked and pulsing. And behind it, a shadow locked in ice, huge, twisted. Horns made of bone and glacier, fur like fog, eyes that were holes. Emma whispered, "That's not an animal. That's a god." Dr. Blake followed us inside, but he wasn't surprised. "I knew it was here," he said. "I read the legends. The Yeti was never a myth. It was a guardian, a jailer." "You brought us here," I said. He nodded. "And now we've woken it." Something began howling. Not from outside, but inside the walls of the glacier. Cracks split the ceiling. Ice fell like knives. Travis panicked, ran back toward the tunnel. Emma shouted for him to stop. Too late. A massive, pale arm burst from the ice, clawed fingers grabbing him mid-sprint. He screamed once before the hand crushed him into silence. The station shook. We ran. Lights burst. Ceilings collapsed. Benji's voice echoed through the halls. "It's under the ice. Under. We made it back to the main room. Jonas slammed the steel door shut. Outside, footsteps, but not walking, dragging. We found Dr. Blake writing in blood, not his. Symbols, warnings, names. He looked up at me and said, "It's awake now. You don't kill gods, you only feed them." Then, he smiled and bit off his own tongue. There's a kind of hunger colder than the cold itself. The kind that doesn't stop eating, even after you're dead. The station was damaged. Jonas welded the lower hatch shut. The backup generator gave us light, but not warmth. Travis was gone, crushed like an insect. Dr. Blake was dying, his blood used for symbols only he understood. Emma tried to help him, but Blake grabbed her wrist. "You dream of it yet?" he rasped. "The eye in the snow?" We moved him to the infirmary. That night, he whispered until he fell silent. His eyes were open. Still. We heard footsteps on the roof. It couldn't climb. Could it? Emma didn't sleep. She sat by the door, gripping, a flare like it was her last prayer. Jonas started carving bone runes on the walls. "Protection," he said. "Against it." I watched the night vision camera we rigged up outside. At 3:21 a.m., I saw something move across the screen. Huge, blurred. Then it looked at the camera, and the feed died. Jonas said, "It's not just a guardian, it's a judge," Emma said. "Then we have to leave." Jonas looked up. "It doesn't let you leave. It lets you choose." "What does that mean?" I asked. He pointed to the journal Dr. Blake kept. Symbols, sacrifices, one stays, so the others may go. On the second night, Jonas stopped speaking. He stared at the wall like he saw something behind it, scratched it until his fingernails peeled off. Emma sobbed in the next room, rocking back and forth. She said she heard her sister's voice. Her sister died 3 years ago. The Yeti wasn't just in the snow anymore, it was in our minds. I found Benji in the lower tunnel, alive, barely naked, trembling, speaking in a voice that wasn't his. "Not God," he muttered. "Not beast. Where's the cold? It is the cold." He looked up at me. "Have you dreamed of the cave yet?" Then he screamed until blood burst from his nose. He died in my arms. Food was gone. Fuel too. The cold started to chew at us from the inside. We wrapped ourselves in whatever we could find. Blankets, insulation, even body bags. Jonas sharpened a rusted pipe. Emma kept mumbling Blake's name in her sleep. I heard my own voice in the vents. It whispered to me, "You have to choose." The broken charm Travis carried? It began humming, low, pulsing, like a heartbeat. Emma touched it, and her nose started bleeding instantly. Jonas took it to the ritual chamber beneath the station. We followed. He placed it on the altar. The ice cracked, open, and the Yeti rose. Jonas fell to his knees. "Take me," he said. It didn't. It looked at me. Then Emma. Then back at me. Jonas screamed, lunged at me with the rusted pipe. Emma fired the last flare. The light hit the creature, and for a moment, it recoiled. Emma tackled Jonas, knife in hand. Didn't stop her. She stabbed him again and again, until there was silence. The creature did not leave. Emma gasped. "Why isn't it going?" I looked at the altar. The relic still glowed. The ice was now bleeding. Jonas wasn't the sacrifice. Not really. The creature wanted something else. Memory, grief, madness. It wanted Emma. She stood there, looked at me, smiled. "I'll stay," she said. "No," I said. "You don't have to." She walked into the light, into the circle of the altar, into the arms of the Yeti. It didn't crush her. It held her like a mother to a child. And then they were gone, swallowed by the ice. The tunnel trembled. The relic cracked and shattered. Light filled the chamber, cold, blue light that felt empty. The walls shifted. The exit behind us opened, and I stepped through it, alone. Flesh breaks, bones snap, but the last thing to break is your mind. I don't know how long I walked. Maybe an hour. Maybe a day. The tunnels spat me out into a frozen ravine beneath a glacier. A narrow path led through dagger-like rocks. Wind screamed above. No sign of Emma. No Yeti. No help. Just the cold. And my thoughts, which had started talking back. I started hearing footsteps behind me, always just one behind my own, always stopping when I stopped. I turned around. Nothing. Then I saw it. A figure in the snow, far away. White. Tall. Still. Watching. I blinked, and it was closer. I ran. I stumbled into a natural cave. The walls weren't made of stone. They were made of ice shaped like jaws. Inside, I found supplies, a tent, rations, a flashlight, a journal with the name M. Hawthorne. The entries were chilling. It wants your loneliness. It eats it. Don't sleep. It wears faces you love. The more you think, the more it becomes you. That night, I dreamed of Emma. She asked me to come back. Her mouth was too wide. The wind outside changed. It began to sound like whispers. Emma, Jonas, even Blake. Calling my name, I covered my ears. But the voices were inside now. Inside the cave. Inside. My chest. Something was breathing with me. I found myself walking again. No memory of packing. Just my feet moving. I reached a ridge and saw a village far below. Lights. Smoke. Salvation. I cried. Then I blinked, and the village was gone. Just snow. I screamed into the wind until my throat cracked. And then, the Yeti stood behind me. But this time, I didn't run. The creature didn't strike. It tilted its head, raised one hand, and in the snow, a symbol began to burn. A spiral. A key. My name. It placed the relic, restored, into the center of the circle, then vanished. I understood. This wasn't the end of its curse. It was the beginning for me. I found Blake's voice recorder in my coat pocket. I didn't put it there. It played by itself. The glacier is a prison. The Yeti, its warden. But every warden needs a replacement. Your thoughts are not safe. Your name is not yours anymore. Then it hissed static, and Emma's voice came through. Logan, stay. Stay and keep it cold. That night, I sat by a fire I didn't remember lighting. Across from me, another version of me stared back. Same eyes, same clothes. But he smiled. You're the story now, he said. Then he walked into the darkness and vanished into the snow. Next morning I woke up to find the relic embedded in my chest. No wound, no blood, just ice growing from it, spreading across my skin. The whispers were gone. But I wasn't alone. I was never alone. I had become the Watcher. From the ridge, I saw another plane in the sky. New travelers. New blood. And deep inside the glacier, felt movement. The god beneath the ice was stirring. But now it stirred through me. The rescue came days later. A flare had been spotted. I didn't remember firing it. I didn't even remember walking back up to the summit. The crew pulled me aboard, like I was a miracle. You're lucky to be alive, one said. I didn't speak. I couldn't, because something was watching through my eyes. They flew me to a recovery center in Nepal. Psych eval. Medical checks. News crews. I said little. Smiled when I was told to. Slept with the lights off. Ate my food cold. Because heat hurt now. My veins didn't carry blood. They carried frost. At night I dreamed of the glacier breathing. of bones clicking in rhythm, of 1,000 hands scratching from inside the ice. I dreamed of Emma calling out to me, her voice echoing from inside the relic. And when I woke, there was snow on the floor. 1 week later, the relic arrived at a museum in New York. Unmarked crate. No return address. Packed in dry ice. The curator opened it, saw the carvings, felt a chill that didn't belong in summer, placed it in the unexplained artifacts exhibit. The temperature in the museum dropped by 10 degrees that night. No explanation. Security. Footage from the exhibit showed people staring too long at the relic. One man stood there for 3 hours. One woman tried to lick the ice. And in the background, static began to bleed into the speakers. A voice whispered, "It watches." I moved back to the States, got a cheap apartment, avoided sunlight, avoided mirrors, because sometimes in the glass I saw myself blink wrong, too slow, too empty, too ancient. Strange events followed me. A child froze solid during a 90-degree heat wave. A family claimed their home smelled like ice and death. A hiker disappeared. Only his teeth were found. And in every location, witnesses reported seeing a tall, white figure just standing still, watching. One night, I filmed myself sleeping, just to prove I wasn't crazy. At 2:11 a.m., the camera flickered, my body sat up, but I never opened my eyes. I spoke in a voice that wasn't mine. You brought it home. You are the glacier now. I returned to the museum. The relic pulsed in its glass case. Cold fog rolled off it. I touched the glass and heard everything. The mountain, the hunger, the lives it's claimed, the lives it still waits for. I saw Emma. She whispered, "Let me out." I shattered the case. The room froze. Now I live in silence. I don't eat. I don't sleep. I wait. Because it's not about worship. It's not about feeding. It's about spreading. And when people speak my name now, they forget it moments later. I'm not Logan Carter anymore. I am the ice that watches, and I'm in your dreams next. The app pings anyway. A last-minute ride near the edge of town, somewhere between the forgotten farmland and a patch of woods that have never been logged. The map marks it in a shade of gray he's never seen before. No street name, just pickup, zone. Fog rolls in like breath on a cold mirror, hanging low and thick enough to eat the high beams. His tires crunch over gravel as he slows by the rusted post where the pin dropped. There's no house, no porch light, no mailbox. Just a stretch of dark, breathing trees. Then, without a sound, the passenger appears. A figure, hooded, already, at the rear door. He didn't see them walk up, not even in the mirror. They slide into the back seat without a word. He clears his throat. Evening. No reply. Just the hush of their breath, slow and measured, like something asleep but watching. The door clicks shut. The cabin fills with a sudden chill, thin and sharp like air from a freezer. The driver adjusts the heater, but it doesn't help. The vents hum, but the air comes out dead. He starts driving. The destination isn't far. Only 15 minutes by the app. But the road feels longer, the silence deeper. Fog curls around the windshield in slow spirals. The only sound is the quiet tap of wet branches brushing the car's frame like knuckles on a coffin lid. He glances in the rearview mirror. Just a hood. Still. Unmoving. Too still. He drives. Minutes stretch. Something's wrong. He knows the back roads. Here. Every curve. Every bump. But now the trees seem closer. Pressed in. The turnoff he expects isn't there. Neither is the gas station he uses as a landmark. Just more fog. Then, the dash cam flickers. Once. Then again. A soft whine rises from the feed like a fly trapped in plastic. He taps the screen. The playback jumps. The timestamp resets to 00, then plays forward in slow motion. And there, just a blink, a second figure in the back seat. He freezes, turns, just the passenger, head down, hands in their lap, but the dash cam still plays, just a few seconds behind reality. And on it, behind the hooded shape, is something else. No shape, no face. Just an impression, a blur where presence should not be, a distortion that watches. His skin prickles. Something crawls up his spine, like cold oil. He grips the wheel tighter, jaw clenched. Must be a glitch, he mutters, mostly to himself. But the silence behind him remains absolute, not even breathing now. The air thickens. He checks the mirror again. Just the passenger, but this time they're looking straight into the mirror. The hood hasn't moved. The head is still down, but in the mirror, the face is turned. Not visible, just wrong. Wrong angle. Wrong stillness. He looks back, hood down, back to the mirror, face turned. Then, the mirror goes black, not shattered, not cracked, just gone. Like the silver has been erased. It no longer reflects. Not the road, not the trees, not even him. He blinks hard. His own face is missing. Only a dark void stares back. He slams the brakes. The car screeches to a stop on the shoulder. The passenger does not move. He twists around, fully now, heart pounding. "Hey, are you—" But there's no one there. The seat is empty. The door never opened. His throat tightens. Cold sweat gathers at the back of his neck. He opens the driver's door and stumbles out into the fog. It swallows sound, swallows light. He turns in a slow circle. Nothing. No houses. No road signs. Only the soft rustle of trees bending in wind he can't feel. Then, footsteps behind him. He whirls, still nothing. But his car lights flicker, then dim. The engine cuts off. The dash cam continues to glow faintly. He leans in, trembling, and rewinds the footage. The timestamp loops back to 00 again, plays forward. The passenger appears in the feed. But this time, the second shape leans forward. Closer. Its mouth opens, but it has no face. The camera glitches. Then static. Then nothing. He sits in silence. Then a voice. Not from the car, not from the woods, from somewhere in him, drop off complete. He blinks. His hands are back on the wheel. The car is driving, but he doesn't remember starting it again. The trees fall away. The fog lifts. He's back on the main road, but something in the rearview mirror catches his eye. The glass reflects again, and behind him, in the dark, distant stretch of road, two small red lights hover. Not taillights, not eyes, something in between. Following. They don't blink. They don't fade. And they don't stop. He parks in the driveway, engine still humming like a breath held too long. The fog followed him home, settling like mildew over the roof, the hedges, the mailbox he never checks anymore. His porch light stutters, on, off, on again, like a blinking eye that's forgotten how to close. He sits in the car for a long time. The keys dangle in the ignition, unmoving, though his hand trembles near them. The rearview mirror is still blank. Nothing but a stretch of shadow where his face should be. A ghost of presence. A hole. He reaches for the dash cam, tries to eject. The SD card, click. Nothing. He presses harder. Tries again. The button depresses, but the card won't budge. It feels fused. The screen flickers and begins playing the footage on its own. Timestamp 000. The same cursed ride. The passenger enters, hooded, silent. This time, the video doesn't glitch. Not at first. It lingers, running smoother than he remembers. And the figure in the back seat? Their head tilts, just slightly, not toward him, toward the camera. He pauses it, rewinds, plays it again. This time, the head tilts more, closer to facing the lens. His mouth goes dry. He slams the dash cam off. The screen dies, but the memory doesn't. Inside the house, silence waits like a predator. The light above the hallway flickers with a sound like a whisper stuck in the throat. He leaves the dash cam on the kitchen counter, facing the wall, as if turning its eye will blind it somehow. But when he walks back past it minutes later, it's facing him. Not tilted, not rotated, just shifted by itself. He tells himself he's tired, stress, delirium, night driving. That's all it is. He shuts it in a drawer. That night, the sound wakes him. Tires. On gravel. Crunch. 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 Slow. Measured. Like someone pulling into his driveway. He blinks the clock. Into view. 3:12 a.m. He listens. The car never stops. It never drives away either. Just that crunching. Like wheels turning in place. He forces himself out of bed, peeks through the blinds. No headlights, no taillights, no car, only fog, thick as wet wool, clinging to the street like smoke. And yet the sound continues. Right outside, like it's inside the house now, in the hall. Outside the bedroom door, grinding gravel on wooden floors. He doesn't sleep. By morning, the air in the house smells like exhaust, faint, but wrong. Not gas, not oil. Decay, like something organic learned how to imitate a machine. He checks the dash cam. It's on again. Playing footage rewound to 0.00. The ride. Again. The hooded figure. This time, the passenger is fully turned, face visible, but it's his own. Pale. Mouth open. Eyes gone. Not closed. Gone. Two soft black holes staring back through the lens, and in the mirror behind his reflection, another shape. Something not human. Tall. Curved like it's bent by a ceiling it doesn't fit under. A mouth that opens side to side. He throws the dash cam into the sink, turns on the garbage disposal. It doesn't start. The lights flicker, and behind him, in the metal toaster's reflection, a shape stands in the hallway. No features. Just waiting. He leaves the house by noon. He doesn't lock the door. He just needs air, needs to hear other people, be around living things. But the grocery store is too quiet. Everyone's speaking in whispers. Their words don't match their mouths. He watches a man ask the clerk for batteries. The words sound like, "It followed you, didn't it?" The clerk nods, and then, without blinking, the man walks backward out of the store. He returns home by dusk. The dash cam sits on the kitchen table, clean, untouched, the screen off, and yet, as he walks by, it blinks on. Playback begins. This time, it's live, a view of the inside of his car, but he's not in it. Someone else is, sitting in the back seat. Head down. The dream begins like it always does now. He's in the driver's seat, car humming, headlights tunneling through fog. So thick it looks like gauze pulled over a corpse. He doesn't know where he's going. He never does. The road rolls under him silent and endless. And then he hears it. Breath. Not his. A second one. Slow. Rhythmic. Wet. From behind. The rearview mirror remains black, a slit in reality that won't reflect anything real anymore. Then, tap, tap, fingertips on leather. He can feel it, right behind his neck. Another breath, closer. The passenger leans in. He can't see them, but he feels them. Lips so close to his ear, it makes the hair on his arms rise like frostbite. Then a whisper, not spoken, mouthed. Daniel. His name. No sound. Just breath. Just shape. He wakes up with his own scream strangled in his throat. Morning brings no peace. The world feels echoed. His cereal tastes like ash. His coffee smells like lake water. The birds outside chirp in reverse, and on the windshield of his car, someone has drawn a smiley face in the dust, not a happy one. The mouth is too wide. The curve is too low, like it was drawn by something that doesn't understand human expression, but tried anyway. He doesn't touch it. He backs away. Inside, the dashcam is still glowing, but it's not plugged in. It shouldn't be on. It shouldn't be anything. But it hums, faint and hungry, like it's digesting a secret. He leans in. The footage rolls. He watches a still image of his living room, from an angle he's never seen before. The couch, the hallway, the framed photo of his parents, and the black shape right behind the couch, unmoving. But each time the camera blinks, it's closer. Frame by frame, like a slideshow of dread. By the end of the clip, it's pressed against the lens. No face, just shape, and behind it, his bedroom door. He checks the dashcam battery, dead. Checks the SD card, gone. It still plays. He wraps the entire device in 3 layers of tinfoil, shoves it in the freezer, slams the door. It still plays. That night, the dream returns. More vivid, more physical. He drives. Fog curls around the windows like hands gripping the frame. This time, the whisper isn't mouthed. It speaks. I know you. A hand reaches forward. Not human. Fingers too long. Nails like bark. It taps the headrest twice. And then it slides. Off forward, touching his shoulder. He tries to scream, but he's not in control anymore. His own hands grip the wheel tighter. A voice deeper than language presses against his spine. You brought me home. He wakes up on the floor, his bed undisturbed. Smear of dirt leads from the front door to the middle of the living room, and then stops. No footprints, just a trail, like something was dragged or crawled. The house smells like cedar and rot, like something wooden died here. He stumbles to the window, draws the curtain. Across the street, a shape stands behind the neighbor's tree, still, watching. It doesn't move, but the shadow quivers, like it's breathing. He drives to the police station, walks up to the front desk, mind on fire, heart a drum in his throat. The officer asks his name. He gives it. The officer pauses, then says, "We already spoke yesterday." "No, what?" "You came in," the officer insists. "You showed us this dashcam footage. You asked if anyone else had picked up a silent passenger." Daniel shakes his head. "I never came here." The officer frowns, looks behind him. Then who the hell was that? When he gets home, the door is already open. Just a crack, the kind that lets in fog, the kind that invites in what should stay out. He steps inside. Everything's quiet. The fridge door hangs open, the freezer empty. The dashcam, gone, and written across the inside of the freezer door, in something that smells like wet soil. "Thank you for the ride." The wheels turn like clock hands now, each revolution a tick toward nowhere. Daniel doesn't notice at first. He just drives. He tells himself it's to clear his head. But the truth is simpler. It's worse when he stands still. The house hums when he's inside it. The mirrors twitch. The television flickers even when unplugged. So he drives. A safe loop, he thinks. A long circle down the back roads near the lake. Quiet. Empty. Forgettable. But something's wrong. The gas station on 9th. He passes it. Again. And again. And again. Same flickering open sign. Same dent in the side panel of pump 3. Same man outside, smoking a cigarette down to the filter without blinking. Daniel doesn't stop. He checks his phone. No signal. No time. The clock reads. He presses harder on the gas, but the road won't let go. The sky stays gray, like it's still deciding whether to cry or burn, and the same deer, frozen mid-leap. Right by the crooked mile marker, he passes it again, and again. The third time the deer's head turns, just a little. Enough to see its eyes. Too many. Too human. He pulls over, kills the engine, lets silence take the wheel. The forest leans in, close. The trees crowd the edge of the road like onlookers at a funeral. He breathes. In. Out. Something in the air tastes metallic, and behind him, click. The seatbelt slides into place. He doesn't move, doesn't turn, just listens, breathing. Not his, slow, deliberate. The rearview mirror won't reflect. It's a black wound stitched into the windshield. But he knows. Something is there, with him. He starts the car. The engine coughs, but it starts. He drives, mile after mile, turn after turn. And still, the gas station, the mile marker, the deer. Each time, something changes. The man at the gas station? Now he's waving. The deer? Now it's standing in the road, staring, bleeding from the antlers. And when he swerves to miss it, he doesn't. The car goes through the animal, like fog, like a dream. Now he's sweating, hands locked on the wheel, knuckles pale. The air inside the car is thickened. Breathing is harder. The heater is off, but heat radiates from the passenger seat. He dares a glance. Just once. And in that second, the seat is occupied, a shape, faceless and hunched, seated politely, buckled in. Hands folded in its lap. It turns toward him. But there is no face. Just smooth skin stretched tight over bone. And underneath the skin, something wriggles. He looks away. Closes his eyes for 1 second. When he opens them again, he's home driveway, porch, his crooked mailbox. The car is off, but he doesn't remember the ride. His hands still grip the wheel. His seatbelt is undone. The passenger door is open. Inside the house, the air is colder, a different kind of cold. Not winter. More like absence. The hallway smells like dust and rain. He walks into the living room. Every picture frame is turned backward. All the eyes hidden. The couch has an indentation in the cushion. Like someone just stood up, and in the silence, he hears footsteps. Upstairs. Soft. Slow. Back and forth. Like pacing. Like waiting. He doesn't go up. He goes outside. Back to the car. Tries to start it. The engine clicks. Clicks again. Won't turn. Won't let him go. And when he looks down, there's a new message carved into the dashboard. Not written, carved, with something sharp. It says, "Drive until it's done." He backs away, trips on the curb, stumbles to the street. A car drives past. The driver doesn't look at him. The car has no headlights, and the back seat, full of faces, pressed to the windows, watching. That night, he sleeps in the bathtub. No windows, only one entrance. He wedges a chair against the door. Still, he dreams. Of roads that double back on themselves. Of gas pumps that bleed. Of smiling deer that whisper his name. And the hum of a seatbelt. Clicking into place. Over. And over. And over. He drives with the radio off at first. Silence is safer than static. Safer than voices that aren't supposed to be there. But the quiet is heavier tonight. Thick like a weighted blanket over his chest. Thicker than the dark pressing against the windows. So he turns it on. Just for background. Just for anything else. The dial skips past dead stations, one after another. Hissing voids, broken signals, old hymns sung off-key, until something grabs. 26 FM, no call letters, no music, just her, a voice, female, soft, like a lullaby whispered through a locked door. It says, "You're going the wrong way, Daniel." He freezes, looks down at the dial, then at the road, then at the rear view. Still no reflection, only static in his bones now. He turns the dial. No change. It stays on 98.6. It won't move. "Turn left at the fork," she says, calm as a nurse. "There will be no signs. You must feel it. There is no fork." He's certain of that. But then, he sees it. Just ahead, two paths. Both swallowed by forest. One newer, one old. He doesn't remember them. They weren't there yesterday. Or ever. "Left," she repeats. "That's where your real memory waits." He turns left. The forest changes. Thicker, older, more alive. The trees are too close to the road. Branches brush the car like fingertips. His headlights dim. Not flicker. Dim. As if swallowed by shadow. And the radio crackles again. "Do you remember the girl in the water?" He grips the wheel tighter. His knuckles crack. He doesn't remember. Not exactly. But his body reacts. A cold pulse in his spine. He turns the radio off. It turns itself back on. She still sings. "Daniel. But not for you." The road narrows. The asphalt fractures. More moss than pavement. Now, roots buckle through the surface like bones through skin. The signal grows stronger, but the voice becomes less human, slower, detached, distorted like a cassette tape left in the sun. 1 mile more. That's all it takes to remember. His hands begin to tremble. He wants to turn back, but there's no turnoff. Only forward. Only her. And the voice keeps speaking. Names he doesn't recognize. Places he never went. Dates he never lived. But he knows they're real. He knows they're his. Somewhere deep. Below the floorboards of memory. Where the things you bury still breathe. The radio shudders. A new sound now. Like water. Not waves, but drowning. Bubbling breath. Panicked thrashing. And then, a scream. Distant. Wet. Cut off mid-word. Then silence. Then, "You left her." Behind, Daniel. He slams the brakes. The car screeches, but there's no one on the road. Just mist. Rising from the cracks. He can't see 10 feet ahead. Or behind. His phone is dead. His watch has stopped. The temperature plummets. And then the car dies. The headlights flicker. The engine whines, then quiets. But the radio? Still on. Still whispering. "If you want to remember." Open the trunk. He doesn't want to. But he gets out. Bare feet on cold gravel. He doesn't remember taking off his shoes. The forest is breathing again. In out. Leaves rustle, but there's no wind. He walks to the back of the car. Trunk unlocked. Hinges groan. Inside, nothing. At first. Then he blinks and sees her coat, child-sized, water-stained, smelling of mildew and copper. "You said you'd be right back," the voice coos. "You never came." He backs away, slams the trunk. He's shaking now, heart beating too loud for thought. The radio turns to laughter, mocking. Not hers, something else. It rasps. "She's still waiting. You can't leave twice." The road. Behind him is gone. Just trees, dense and endless, and the road ahead, a tunnel of shadow. The car starts again. He didn't touch the keys. He gets in. The radio crackles. 1 more mile. He drives. But the trees lean in, brush the windshield, whisper in words that aren't his. He doesn't blink, doesn't breathe, until the road opens, a clearing, circular, perfectly still. The radio dies. At last, silent. But in the clearing is a pond, and floating in the center, her face, just the face, still, eyes open, mouth moving, but no sound. He steps out, wanders toward the water's edge, drawn, weightless, kneels, reaches, and then a hand grabs his ankle. Not hers. Too long, too thin, and something beneath the surface whispers, "You remembered too late." He doesn't sleep anymore. He just drives, forward, then left, then back, then forward again. The road does not obey time. The dashboard clock spins. Minutes, skipping hours, hours bleeding backwards. Each breath fogs the windshield, though the air is warm. He wipes it clear, again, and again. Behind the streaks, the trees don't move. They just rotate, like he's inside something, not outside. A jawbone, a womb, a trap. The first time he notices the loop, he's at a gas station. It's called Maple Cross Stop. He doesn't remember passing it before, but the fluorescent buzz feels familiar. The man behind the counter says nothing, just nods like he's been waiting. Too still, too symmetrical. When Daniel leaves, he checks the mirror. The clerk is still watching, still smiling, but now he's on the wrong side of the glass. 2 hours later, Daniel runs low on gas again. He turns onto a side road. Gravel crunches. A sign appears. Maple Cross Stop. 500 FI for the same station. Same light buzz. Same man behind the counter. Same smile. Same clock on the wall, stuck at 3:17 a.m. But now something else is wrong. The gum wrapper he threw away last time is still in the trash, unmoved, folded the same way, and the man behind the counter speaks. "You brought something with you." Daniel doesn't answer. He doesn't want to, but he turns anyway. In the passenger seat, a stuffed rabbit, waterlogged, gray fur curled with mold. He slams the car door and speeds away. Later, on an empty stretch of road, his phone buzzes. It should be dead. But the screen glows. A single notification. New route found. 13 minutes to home, but the map is blank. No streets. No names. Just a pulsing red dot and a voice from the phone speaker. "You are here." The dot doesn't move as he drives. The trees do. They lean closer. Branches scratch like desperate fingernails. The road curves again. Another station. But this time, the sign is missing. Just white paint. Blank. The inside is dark. No clerk. Just a radio left playing. He shouldn't have left her. He promised he wouldn't forget. He backs out. On the pavement now. Wet footprints, too. Small for his. Too slow to be a trick of light. He drives faster. Doesn't blink. But in his rear view, a shape sits in the back seat. He doesn't look directly, only glances, eyes half averted. The shape breathes. but not with lungs. More like steam from a vent, constant, gentle, wrong. Another turn, another road, another version of escape. But the trees remain the same. The loops shrink. Time folds. At 2:12 a.m., the sky turns orange. At 2:13 a.m., he hears her laugh. At 2:14 a.m., he cries and doesn't know why. At 2:15 a.m., his car runs out of gas. Again, he walks now, down a road that no longer curves. The pavement is soft beneath his shoes. Not like dirt. Not like asphalt. Like memory. Spongy. Regretful. Like the floor of a place you shouldn't have left. He finds a phone booth in the middle of nowhere. It rings. He picks up. No dial tone, just the sound of water, lapping gently at a shore. Then a child's voice. Daddy? He doesn't have kids. Doesn't think he does. Did. The voice asks again. You said you wouldn't let go. He hangs up. The phone melts in his hand. Becomes salt. Back on the road. The car is waiting. Engine off. Headlights dim. But the back door is open, and the stuffed rabbit sits in the driver's seat, holding the keys. He walks, for hours, or years, or maybe only a minute, until the fog returns. Thick. Sticky. With breath inside. It forms faces, repeats things he almost remembers. A birthday candle, a red shoe, a promise, a scream underwater, and always, always, you brought something with you. Another sign now, rusting at the edge of the mist. You are here. But below it, scratched in, where is she? He sits in the road, lets the cold eat. His fingers, watches the sky flicker between night and firelight, and the back seat opens again. But this time something steps out. Not a girl. Not quite. Tall. Thin. Eyes like burnt holes in paper. She opens her mouth, but no sound comes. Only water. It pours from her mouth in slow, rippling streams, pools at his feet, crawls toward his chest. He screams, but the scream doesn't escape. It loops, echoes inside his skull, until it becomes the radio again, playing on 98.6 FM, the signal that always finds him. The loop doesn't break, Daniel. The loop is you. It begins with static, soft, like the sound of snowfall over gravel. The car radio clicks on by itself at 2:34 a.m. The engine is off. The key isn't in the ignition, but the dial glows, pale green and flickering. He leans forward. The knob moves without touch. Station after station all the same. Shh. White noise. Except one. 6 FM. The voice is tiny, childlike. Dad. He freezes. That word again. That lie. Or memory. He presses the power button. The radio shuts off, but the air doesn't go quiet. The static is still there. Inside the car. Behind the vents. In the fabric of the seat. Under his skin. He opens the door and steps out. Fog curls around his ankles. The headlights flicker once, then twice. A figure stands at the tree line, not moving, not breathing, arms too long. Holding something, a small plastic radio, cracked and damp. It's playing his voice. I promise I won't let go. He never said that, did he? He walks until his legs burn. The forest thickens, branches like ribs, leaves like bruises. But the static follows. He pulls out his phone. No signal. Only one bar, a notification blinks. Listen. He opens the voice memo app. There are 12 new recordings, all time-stamped 3:17 a.m. The first is silence. The second, breathing. The third, crying. The fourth. Daniel, don't forget the pond. He drops the phone. It doesn't hit the ground, just vanishes into mist. Back in the car now, or a version of it. The seats are damp. The rear-view mirror is missing. There's no door on the driver's side, but the radio is back, playing, and every station now speaks in the same child's voice. Come find me. You promised. It's cold. The water hurts. His hands shake. He tries to pull the radio out. Rips the wires. It keeps playing, now louder. Static that breathes. Static that watches. Static that wants. He parks the car at the roadside. Tries to run, but the world narrows, like a lens turning inward. Trees blur. Ground pulses. Sky drips. Downward like ink in water. He finds a small shack, empty. Except for a broken TV. He smashes it. Inside the screen, a stuffed rabbit, wet. Its stitched mouth is open. Inside, a speaker, and it's whispering. She's still down there. He remembers a pond, but not clearly. He remembers screaming, but not who screamed. He remembers a small hand, letting go or being let go. The radio in the shack turns on. No wires, no power, just sound, and this time, no static, only her. You said it would only be a minute. He claws at his ears. The voice is inside now, behind his teeth, behind his eyes, repeating, "Don't leave me in the dark. Don't leave me in the dark. Don't leave me." He tries to scream. It comes out as static, not noise, language. Morse code in reverse. Binary for grief. A pattern only the dead understand. He runs again. Back to the road. The car is gone, but the headlights still glow, floating, and the radio floats between them, spinning gently in the air like a hung body. He touches it. It stops. Silence. Real silence. Too pure, too wrong. He breathes in, and the static returns, not from the radio, from his lungs. Every breath he takes plays a memory. Every exhale releases a cry. He kneels in the road. Fog thickens, becomes hands. They pull at his sleeves, his spine. Tiny. Fingers. Bone thin. Water cold. He says her name. He doesn't remember how he knows it, but he says it anyway. Anna. The fog pauses. The static trembles. The radio says, "Now we can begin." He grips the steering wheel tighter than before. Knuckles pale, wrists stiff. The road ahead is long, straight, unchanging. But in the mirror, something else. Not asphalt. Not trees, tiles, fluorescent lights, and the child. At first, the child is far away, a blur in the distance. Small frame, bare feet, dripping water pooling under them. The mirror doesn't belong to the car anymore. It's a window. One he cannot... Close, he blinks. The child is closer. Still not clear. Still not moving. But the hallway behind them breathes. Walls that flex. Ceiling that weeps. Floor that bends like softened bone. He looks away. Back at the road, and finds only fog. No lines, no lights, no sound. Only the hum of the mirror. He lifts his eyes. Now the child is at the midpoint of the hallway, and something is wrong with its shadow. It's longer than the body, shaped wrong, twisting toward the walls like it has its own hunger. He tries to adjust the mirror. It won't move. Tries to tear it off. His hand passes through, cold, wet, like dipping fingers into a bath that hasn't been warm for years. "Where are you?" he whispers. The child tilts its head. It knows him. Or worse, it wants him to remember it. The car engine stutters. Dashboard lights flicker. One blinks red. Open, but no doors are ajar. He's sealed in, except not sealed alone. A whisper crawls. Out of the air vent, words stretched like gum. Turn around. He does not. He knows better. But the mirror turns for him, its angle shifts. Not glass anymore, but flesh, wet with breath, alive with watching. And now, the hallway is gone, replaced by a small bedroom, a crib, a rocking chair swaying by itself, and a mobile above the crib made of teeth. He sees himself in the chair, only it's not him now. It's him then. Younger, sadder, mouthing something. I didn't mean to sleep. I didn't mean to. The rest cuts out. The child stands beside the crib now, no longer wet, no longer shadowed, but his eyes, they are his own. He opens the glove box, finds nothing. Then dust. Then photographs. All of them burned around the edges. In each one, a hallway, a door, a child. Sometimes the child is in color. Sometimes it's already fading. Sometimes it looks like him. Other times, like someone he failed to become. He begins to hear lullabies, not through the radio, but in his own head. Soft, off-key humming, like teeth on piano wire. It's not sung to him. It's sung about him. A warning. A curse. He listens anyway. Wake up, the voice whispers from the back seat. He slams the brakes, spins the wheel. The car should stop, but it doesn't, because the road is gone and the hallway is here. He opens the door. There is only linoleum outside. It stretches into infinite turns and corners. The air smells of baby powder and bleach, and somewhere down the corridor, a mobile creaks in circles. He steps out, not because he chooses to, but because the car breathes out, and he breathes in. And the next step is the last one he ever makes in the world he remembers. Now his shoes squeak. The lights above flicker. Some stay dark, and he knows not to. Walk beneath them. The child waits at the end again, but now it's holding something. A mirror. Small. Handheld. It shows the man. Only he's not blinking. He's not breathing. He's smiling. He reaches for the mirror, touches the glass. His skin fogs. When he pulls back, the fog doesn't clear. Instead, it moves like fingers and begins to write. Your turn. He hears the door creak open behind him. Not a door in the hallway. The one in his head. The one he's locked since the accident. Since the scream. Since the water. He turns and sees the real road again. Or maybe not the real one. A version. Quiet. Fogged. Bleeding light. But the car is gone. The hallway remains, and the mirror is now the sky above him, reflecting a ceiling he cannot touch. The hum of the tires fades into nothing. Not a stop. Not a crash. Just absence, like someone hit mute on the world. He stares at the dashboard. Clock. 1:13 a.m., same as 10 minutes ago. Same as 10 minutes before that. Same as always. The passenger door is ajar, just enough to let in a breath. A slip of cold. A sliver of darkness so quiet, it feels like waiting. He doesn't remember stopping. Doesn't remember anyone opening it. And yet, there's moisture on the seat. A faint outline. Not quite a shape, but a presence. The kind you only notice after it leaves a scent. The scent is familiar. Pine needles, and something burnt underneath. A roadside candle. A funeral he never attended. He reaches over to pull the door shut, but his hand stops midway, because the glove box creaks open, all on its own. Not wide. Just enough for a whisper to slip through. Keep driving. Don't blink. He doesn't move. Doesn't breathe, because that voice, that's his, but younger. Hollowed out. filtered through static and sleep paralysis. The radio clicks on. Soft at first, then louder. A preacher's voice, old, wet, preaching backwards in tongues. Then static, then nothing. Then you left her. He jerks the wheel. The road is back, but it's not paved anymore. It's gravel, and then dirt, and then ash. A path he doesn't remember taking, but the car seems to. It follows it like it's done it before. Outside the window, trees reverse their growth. Branches unravel. Leaves shrink back into buds. A deer runs past, but its legs move wrong, like they're playing a scene backward. Its eyes meet his, and blink in slow rewind. The seat beside him sighs. It's empty, but only in the way a grave is empty. The weight of something gone lingers. Indentation where skin once pressed. He glances, just for a second, and sees her. Hair wet, face blurred, as if looking through a rain-covered lens. She doesn't speak, but her lips move. He knows what she's saying. You promised you wouldn't fall asleep. He looks forward again. The windshield is gone, replaced by a window. Not in a car, in a house. A room with no walls, no door, just curtains, moving as if something breathes behind them. He's not sure if he's still driving, or if the car is remembering itself, like muscle memory, like déjà vu in motion. The glove box is wide open now. Inside, a cassette tape, unlabeled, bleeding with heat, and a driver's license. His, but younger. Back before the fire, before the snow, before she was no longer in the passenger seat. He closes his eyes, just for a second. When he opens them, the rearview mirror shows the open door again. Still ajar. Still inviting. There's a woman outside now, standing beside the car, barefoot on ash, face hidden beneath her hair. She lifts her hand, taps the window, not like she wants to come in, like she already has. He blinks. She's gone. But the passenger door clicks. Softly. It closes itself. From the glove box, a new voice. This road only takes one of you back. He doesn't understand, or maybe he does, but refuses to admit it, because to understand means to remember. And remembering is the same as breaking. He touches the rearview mirror. It's warm now, not glass, flesh. It beats, once, like a heart, and shows the back seat, where she is again. Eyes closed, breathing shallow, like she's still asleep, like she never drowned. He says her name. The car answers instead. All four doors lock, the ash road ends. Becomes gravel again, then concrete. Then yellow lines reappear. He's back on the highway. But it feels like a lie. Like a stage painted to look like what he wants. A set piece to delay the truth. The passenger seat is empty again. But the moisture hasn't dried. The indent is deeper, and the whisper from the glove box is louder now. Keep driving. Don't stop. Don't let her out again. He grips the wheel tighter, knuckles white, arms trembling, because he knows where this road ends. It's not a destination. It's a memory playing on loop. Every mile a scar, every breath a scream he never finished. The dash cam flickers. No motion, no ignition, just flickers. Like a dying eyelid, blinking without purpose. He hasn't touched it, not in hours. And yet the timestamp resets. 1:01. The screen glows with a soft gray light. Grainy, foggy, like it's underwater. Then, his car, from the outside, parked in a cul-de-sac he doesn't remember entering. Headlights off. Driver's door open, and no one inside. He blinks. The footage continues. There. A figure walks past the lens. Slow. Measured. Dragging something behind it. It doesn't look at the camera. Doesn't look anywhere. But it knows it's being seen, and somehow it smiles without turning. He rewinds the clip. Not with buttons. Just thought, and the footage obeys. Time moves backward. But not like film. Like breath being sucked back into lungs. Like death denying itself. Back, back, back. Until the timestamp reads, negative. 0:16. He sees himself. Sitting in the driver's seat, eyes forward, unmoving. But the world around him moves too fast. Trees sway violently. Clouds smear across the sky like blood on glass. People walk in reverse, limbs twitching like marionettes on tangled strings. But he doesn't move. Not even to blink. The glove box opens. Of course. Because it always does. Because that's where she left it. The photo. Still wet. But it's never been wet. Still torn. But he's never torn it. Still warm. Because it remembers her fingers more than his. It's not even a photo. Not really. It's a mirror someone printed by mistake. It shows a version of him smiling. One who never left her behind. One who never took the ash road. Never opened the passenger door. Never let the whisper in. He looks up. The road is gone again. Now it's just static. Like the air itself is made of television noise. The sky blinks in vertical lines. The moon hisses. He doesn't question it anymore. He's learned that asking why only makes the answers worse. The dash cam skips. A new clip loads. File. 13B. See you. MP4 time. Stamp. 239. No video. Only audio. Just her voice. If you're watching this, you already missed the exit. But that's okay. You were never supposed to make it home. You were supposed to drive, until the car remembered what you did. He hits pause, but it doesn't stop, because it's not a recording. It's a confession, one he never made, but always carried. She died on a night like this, fog-drenched, radio static, passenger seat too quiet. He thought she fell asleep. He thought he was sober. He thought he could make the turn. He thought wrong. The footage plays on. The car in the video crashes over and over. But never into the same place. Once into water. Once into a tree. Once into himself. Standing in the road, arms open, mouth wide with no sound. Each time the impact is silent. But something behind the camera screams. The glove box shuts. Locks itself. Something inside scratches once. Then goes still. The rearview mirror melts. Drips like wax, but reflects just fine. Still shows the back seat. Still shows her there. Not dead. Not living. Just remembering. Like a wound replaying its favorite pain. His eyes burn. He wants to turn off the dash cam, but the buttons are gone. Just a single prompt now. Watch until it's done. The screen cuts to static, then flashes white, and there, his face, from the outside, from the dark, looking in through the windshield, smiling, as if to say, finally. He tries to scream. No sound. Tries to brake. No pedal. The car is gone. He's in the dash cam now, stuck in the loop. A ghost haunting his own footage. A new voice whispers through the speakers. Not hers. Not his. Something older. He watched himself vanish. And now, so will you. The screen cuts off. The car jolts, back on the road, alone. Engine dead. Headlights off. Passenger door wide open again, but no one's there. No sign of the dash cam. No glove box, no photo, no seat indentation, just ash footprints leading away into the fog. He gets out, because that's what the story demands. His keys are gone. His name feels thinner. His body, less solid. He walks around to the front of the car and sees it. There, on the hood, a single note written in dust. You never dropped her off. He turns. Behind him, the road ends. Not in a tree, not in fire, but in her. Standing there. Hair matted, eyes black with water, mouth stitched shut by light itself. She opens her arms, not to embrace, but to pull him back inside the memory. And then the camera starts recording, again and again and again. The last nurse disappears around the corner, her footsteps swallowed by distance, leaving only the hum of fluorescent lights behind. Cam stands alone in the hallway, fingers tightening on the morgue logbook. It's only 11:42 p.m., but the building already feels abandoned. A quiet, not born of sleep, but of something older. Like the walls themselves are holding their breath. The button for B3 glows faintly on the wall-mounted panel. The basement floor. With a reluctant thumb, Cam presses it. The elevator arrives too quickly, its doors groan open, revealing a box of peeling metal and stale air. Inside, the lighting flickers. Not violently, just enough to make things look slower. Wrong. Cam steps in, shoulders brushing the cold wall. The doors seal with a reluctant shh, like they're trapping something in. The descent begins. Each floor blinks past with mechanical indifference. B1, B2. Then, nothing. No number lights up. The display flickers, then goes black. A low hum fills the elevator, rising like a breath caught in a throat. Cam shifts weight, uncomfortable in their shoes, as if gravity is inconsistent, pulling. A little too hard, then not at all. There is a sound behind the walls, not machinery, not vibration. It's the sound of breathing. Slow, raspy, like something is exhaling just on the other side of the paneling. Cam presses the emergency button. Nothing. The elevator shudders slightly. The light above turns amber, then blood red for just a blink. Cam watches their own reflection in the mirrored panel, but the figure staring back isn't quite matching them. The eyes don't move in time. A soft knock behind the metal wall. 1, 2, 3. The elevator halts. 3. The doors open. Silence, not peace, not quiet. Silence. Thick, unnatural, like all sound has been bled from the world. Cam steps out, and the air changes. It's cooler. Yes. But that isn't what makes the skin crawl. It's the stillness. Like something is waiting. The hallway stretches ahead. Long, narrow, sterile. Bright white light buzzes overhead, casting long shadows that seem to move, a beat too slow. A gurney sits against the wall, draped in a sheet that flutters even though there's no breeze. On the wall, a framed evacuation map hangs crooked. Cam straightens it out of reflex, but when they glance again, the outline of the morgue is missing. Just a blank square where it should be. They blink. It's back. Cam exhales and starts walking. Each step sounds louder than it should. Shoes, squeaking slightly, soles against waxed tile. The air tastes metallic, like old pennies in something sour. The morgue is at the end of the hallway. A large steel door, no window. A keypad next to it. Cam enters the code. 119, a beep. The lock unlatches, the door groans open, and the cold spills out, not just in temperature, but something deeper, a cold that whispers into bones. The morgue is clinically clean, but it feels unoccupied in the way a church feels empty after midnight. The ceiling lights hum, but dimly. To the left, rows of metal drawers, each labeled with a tag. Some are handwritten, some smudged. Cam moves to the desk and begins their routine, logging current remains, checking temperatures, restocking toe tags. Simple tasks, comforting repetition until they realize the clock hasn't moved. Still, 11:42. Cam checks. Their phone. No signal. Time. 11:42. They frown, checking the second hand on the wall clock. It doesn't tick. Not stuck. Just suspended. They glance toward the nearest drawer. Numbered number 4. The tag reads, Thompson, A. DOD. 0702. Cam doesn't remember admitting a Thompson. They consult the log. No record. No transfer paperwork. No name in any of the entries. But there's a tag. And a body. They double-check. The body's there. A man, early 50s, eyes closed, skin pale and thin like paper. Then, a buzz. The overhead lights flicker violently, for half a second, and the body's hand twitches, not the spasmodic jerk of post-mortem nerves, a finger tap, like pressing a desk bell. Cam stares, waiting. The body is still. They close the drawer slowly. Heart thudding. Return to the desk, try to resume writing. But the words won't come. The pen has no ink. They try another. No ink. A third. Same. They open a drawer to find a new pen. Inside, not pens, just a single sheet of paper. On it, handwritten in thick, shaky lines, "Don't ride the elevator again." Cam freezes. The paper is cold, not chilled. Cold like stone left in the dark. A sound from the hallway. The elevator bell. It dings once, then again, again, over and over. Cam walks to the morgue door, pushes it open. The hallway is empty, but the elevator doors are open. And inside, there's someone standing, a man, pale, wearing hospital scrubs too large for him, head tilted, face unreadable. Cam blinks. He's gone. The elevator is empty, doors still open. Lights flickering. On the floor outside the elevator, something is scratched into the tile. B3 is not the basement. Cam backs away slowly, returns to the morgue, shuts the door, locks it. They sit at the desk. Still 11:42, still no signal. And now, the drawers behind them begin to rattle. 1, then 2, then all of them. Not violently. Not urgent, just enough. Like a quiet warning or a gentle hunger. Behind the steel and cold, something has begun to move. And down here, time doesn't protect you. It forgets you, just like the others. And the walls remember everything. The drawers hum softly, like a choir with no breath. Stainless steel lines the morgue's far wall. 32 compartments arranged in perfect clinical geometry. But perfection is an illusion. The deeper Cam listens, the more something beneath that hum begins to surface. A rhythm, maybe. Or a voice. It's 11:43 now. Or it should be. The wall clock is stuck again. Cam doesn't bother checking their phone this time. The stillness in the room isn't just time's fault. It's something older. Something in the foundation. They take a deep breath. The air tastes like dry copper. Cam starts inventorying the drawers, one by one, methodically. They touch the handles only with latex gloves, which does nothing to stop the icy bite that seeps through. Drawer number 1, Stevenson, M. Verified drawer. Number 2, Wren, D. Verified drawer. Number 3, empty drawer. Number 4, Thompson, A. Unlogged. Cam pauses at number 4. The man from earlier. The drawer hasn't moved, but the tag now looks different. Crumpled, water damaged, the name nearly illegible. They know they wrote it down. They remember the strokes of ink. Now it's faded, like it wants to be forgotten. They close it again, more gently this time. The intercom radio on the desk crackles without warning. Zzzt. Shift log. Shh. Cam blinks. Static again. Then silence. The radio hasn't worked for 3 months. Budget cuts, they were told. A knock echoes softly from somewhere. Not a drawer this time. A wall. Not the door, not the hallway. The wall behind the drawers. The one that connects to nothing. It's a slow knock, deliberate, measured like breath. Tap, tap, tap. Cam turns off the radio. But even without static, the whispering doesn't stop. It doesn't come from the speakers. It comes from the ventilation shafts. From behind the pipes. From the concrete itself. They put on music. Lo-fi instrumentals. Anything to add warmth. But after 30 seconds, the track distorts, slows like a warped tape, and the beat fades until all that's left is low murmuring. Too close to be background noise. You shouldn't be here. Cam shuts the laptop. Silence returns. The morgue feels smaller now. The overhead lights blink once, just once. But it's enough to stretch every shadow along the corners. The drawers begin to sweat with condensation, as if the room is holding back something warm and wet from leaking through. Cam returns to the inventory. They open drawer No. 9. It's empty, but there are scratch marks inside. 4 deep gouges in the metal surface, parallel, as though someone or something tried to claw its way out. Not the kind made by surgical tools, not by accident. These were made in panic. Cam closes it without logging. The whispering returns. This time, closer. They follow the sound with hesitant steps. The source is hard to locate, like it's inside their skull, behind the ears. The corners of the room distort. Shadows flicker against the frosted glass window of the supply room, though the door is locked and no one is inside. The whispering deepens. A language without vowels. Wet syllables. Cam stares at the wall behind the drawers. It looks wrong, like the paint is swelling. A faint bulge, as if something behind it is pressing outward. They step closer. The wall sighs. A deep, moist sound, as if exhaling after a long sleep. Then, nothing. Cam backs away slowly. The sound follows. Not echo. Not imagination. Footsteps. 1 step behind, just out of reach. They grab the clipboard. Try to regain control. Document something, anything. But every drawer they open now seems subtly changed. The tags are smudged. Bodies have shifted positions. Some have eyes barely cracked open. Not wide. Not staring. Just enough to suggest they're listening. Cam freezes at drawer thus you're 16. The toe tag is torn. No name. But carved into the heel of the body. Not ink. Not pen. But scratched into flesh. You took my place. Cam stumbles back. Drops the clipboard. And hears something fall behind them. Turning slowly, they see the radio on the floor. Unplugged. Still crackling. Cam, don't let it know you're afraid. Their own name, spoken clearly. Not a hospital voice, not a coworker. It sounds like their own voice, played backwards. Suddenly the lights blink violently, once, twice, then hold steady. In that flickering moment, all the drawers appeared slightly open, not wide enough to see in. Just enough to suggest the dead are closer than before. Cam doesn't scream. Not yet. They collect the clipboard, back away from the wall, and return to the desk. The air grows colder, not with temperature, with presence. Behind them, a drawer opens, just one, softly, like a sigh. The morning team isn't due for hours, and Cam is no longer sure if dawn still exists down here. The ceiling lights buzz overhead, erratic as ever, casting long, angular shadows across the morgue's linoleum floor. The desk clock still reads 11:42, a cruel little joke, the kind of joke a place like this might play. Cam exhales slowly. The whispering hasn't returned. Not exactly, but the quiet now feels watched. That's when the knock comes. Not from the hallway, from the delivery door. Cam turns, already chilled. The hallway camera isn't working. The monitor only shows static. But the knock sounds again. Dull, gloved, professional. One of the hospital's transporters? Maybe a late delivery. Maybe. They check the logbook. No entries. No transfers expected tonight. Nothing on schedule. But they walk to the small security window, peer through the slit of reinforced glass. A gurney. Wheels locked. Sheet draped over. Something long and still. A clipboard resting on the chest. But no one is there. Just the gurney, already inside the vestibule, as though someone pushed it through. And left. Cam opens the inner door. The gurney doesn't move. Doesn't need to. It's already waiting. They take the clipboard first. No patient name. No time of death. No sender. Just one line, scribbled in crooked, frantic handwriting. Returned for processing. That's it. Cam stares. No initials. No barcodes. No signature. They pull the sheet back slowly. A man, mid-40s. Head shaved clean. No visible injuries. Pale but too pale. Like he's been bled out. His lips are slightly parted, and the mouth is dry. Unnaturally dry, like the inside. Of a sandstorm. There's no toe tag. Cam frowns. Every corpse is tagged. That's standard. But this one, nothing. They lean in, inspecting the hands. Long fingers, nails oddly clean. There's something written on the left palm. Cam hesitates, then unfolds the fingers. One word, scrawled in faded pen. Cam. Their breath stutters in their throat. It's their name. Not just a name. Their name, their exact spelling. They jerk back, pulse roaring in their ears. The man doesn't move, doesn't twitch. But the temperature in the room shifts. No longer cold, not warm either. Empty, like standing inside a hole. Cam retags. The body, quickly, clumsily. No name, just the timestamp. They assign him to drawer number 3, which had been empty earlier. Had been. The steel drawer slides open with a smooth metallic sigh. The compartment yawns like a mouth waiting to swallow. Cam places the body inside, closes the drawer, locks it, records the entry, returns to their desk, tries to write something, anything. But the pen won't move, like the air has thickened around it. They look up. The clipboard is gone, the one from the body. Cam searches under the desk, beneath the counter, behind the logbooks. Nothing. Drawer number 3 rattles once. Cam freezes, walks back, puts a gloved hand on the handle, listens. Nothing. They open the drawer. It's empty. No body, no tag, no cold. Cam slams it shut, checks the log again. The entry they wrote is gone, cleanly erased. No smudges, no pen marks. Just a white gap where a line once existed. They check the trash. The bin is full of shredded papers, none of them familiar. All of them old, yellowed. And on one of them, faint but legible, returned for processing. The words crawl like rot. The radio crackles again. Not static, not their name, Just a sound. Dragging. Something being pulled across tile. It's faint. Distant. But it's coming from inside the morgue. Cam rises slowly, turns toward the wall of drawers. Nothing has moved. Then they notice something else. The drawers are reordered. Drawer number 3 is now between number 7 and number 8. Drawer number 1 has vanished entirely. The metal tags shimmer slightly, as if reprinted or replaced. Some now bear names in a language Cam doesn't recognize. Symbols like teeth, lines that loop back into themselves. A low noise begins to hum from behind the drawers. Not a machine, not a pipe, a voice. It doesn't speak. It repeats. Soft phrases, whispered again and again so quietly it takes minutes to understand them. Not buried. Not burned. Not gone. Cam closes their eyes. Breathes. Opens them again. Every drawer is open now. Just a sliver. Just enough for fingernails to show some are fresh. Some broken. One has something wet dripping from the edge. Slow, rhythmic, like a leaky faucet. They run to the elevator. Slam the call button. Nothing. The display reads, "Unknown floor," and stays that way. They back away. Turn. Return to the morgue desk. It's not a sanctuary anymore. On the monitor, the hallway camera has come back online, but the image it shows is impossible. The gurney is still outside, still waiting, still covered. No sheet pulled back. No body revealed. No interaction at all. As if Cam never moved. As if none of this happened. As if someone rewound the tape. The desk. Light flickers. Cam feels it before they see it. The drawer behind them creaking open. The air grows colder again. No footsteps. No breathing. Just the faint impression of being observed. They turn. Slowly. Drawer number 3 is open. And now, it isn't. Empty, a body lies within. Different than before. Older, smaller. But clutched in its stiff hand is a toe tag. On it, scrawled in blood-red ink. "I was processed. You were chosen." There are 2 cameras in the morgue. One above the main desk, and another inside the walk-in. Freezer. The freezer cam hasn't worked in weeks. Or so Cam thought. The monitor flickers to life just after midnight. No prompt. No touch. Just reanimation. A green-tinted flickering view of the freezer interior. Cam stares, breath held, as the screen resolves into grainy visibility. 6 bodies, lined along stretchers inside the frosted chamber. Each sealed in clear. Plastic, tagged, dated, and untouched since arrival. Or they were. Cam hadn't reviewed the feed in days. It had always been a dead angle. Now, the timestamp stutters. Flashes. Pil-12. No seconds. No motion. Then, a twitch. Cam leans closer. The second body on the right. Male, mid-30s. Chest bruising visible through the plastic. His left hand moves. A finger curls, slow and hesitant, as if testing the shape of death. Cam rewinds the feed, frame by frame. Nothing, then again, frame forward. The man's eyes are open. They weren't, a second ago. Cam rewinds again. The eyes are closed. Fast forwards, closed. One more frame. Open. Still. Glassy. But unmistakably open, and staring directly at the camera. A chill climbs Cam's spine, hand trembling against the mouse. The room is too quiet, as if the building itself is afraid to breathe. The footage glitches again. The screen shows brief flashes of static teeth, white bars like ribs, symmetrical, flickering like a grin. Then darkness. The screen blacks out. Cam rushes to the freezer door. It's locked, bolted, sealed like always. They check the temperature. -16 degrees. The steel handle is coated in frost. They peek through the small porthole window. Nothing moves. But one of the body bags looks wrong. Not misshapen. Not opened. Just unsettled. Like the figure inside is lying in a way that doesn't make sense anatomically. A bend in the spine that shouldn't exist. A tilt of the head not accounted for by rigor mortis. And the eyes. Not open. Not closed. Just pressed shut. As though held there by force. Cam steps back. Returns to the monitor. The footage has resumed. But now the bodies are different. All of them appear closer to the camera, each one a few inches more upright. Some turned slightly. One is no longer in frame. Gone. Cam stares, sweat rising cold on the back of their neck. The camera shifts again, frame by frame, and suddenly the screen shows a face. Full frame. Nose almost touching the lens. Eyes wide, unblinking, and then, in a single corrupted flicker, he smiles. Not a twitch, not a grimace, a slow, deliberate smile that stretches just a bit too wide. Then, the feed cuts out. Cam doesn't breathe for several seconds. The desk light flickers above them. The computer makes a sound, a low tone, like a heartbeat run through static. Then a file appears on the screen. Untitled, MP4 Cam hesitates. Double clicks. The video begins with the freezer cam. Static. Then audio. Breathing. Close. Labored. Footsteps. On tile. Then a voice. Distorted and wet. "We are still warm even in the dark." Cam slams the laptop shut. The freezer door knocks, just once. But it echoes like a scream held underwater. They step toward it slowly, pulled by a compulsion that doesn't feel like their own. A cold draft leaks from beneath the seal. The air smells like freezer burn and rotting fruit. Their hand touches the latch. They pause. A sound from inside. A low, slithering shuffle. Something dragging across frost. Cam lifts their hand away, slowly backs toward the desk, but then the camera flickers on again. No command, no prompt. And now there is someone standing in the freezer. The screen shows a silhouette, tall and motionless, between the rows of stretchers. Its face is turned. Watching. One hand is raised in a slow wave. Cam doesn't move. The figure begins walking, slowly, silently, toward the edge of the frame. The lights in the morgue dim as the feed distorts. The figure moves beyond the view, and the screen goes dark. Just before it cuts, a single whispered phrase hums from the speakers. "He sees you now." Cam turns. Every drawer in the morgue is closed again. Every label is blank, and the freezer door is ajar. Cam is too tired to dream, but not tired enough to forget. They sit in silence behind the morgue desk, the weight of the previous hour pressing down like invisible hands on their shoulders. The freezer door remains closed now, latched, but Cam checks the latch twice, then a third time. The air hasn't warmed. If anything, it's colder now, the kind of cold that feels intelligent. They return to the logbook, flipping through the pages like ritual. Names, tags, drawers. But drawer 9 keeps drawing the eye, as if the ink there stains deeper than the others. Drawer number 9, Stevenson, M. Verified. That's what it says. But Stevenson was in drawer 1. Cam remembers, vividly. The handwriting is still theirs, but the memory does not match. The wall clock ticks, just once, then silence, and then Knock. Cam lifts their head. Again. Knock. 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 3 soft taps, like fingers drumming gently on hollow metal. The sound is unmistakable. Drawer 9. Cam doesn't move, doesn't speak, just listens. The morgue isn't supposed to sound alive. But right now, the air inside drawer 9 is louder than the air outside. A slow breath escapes Cam's lips. They rise. 1 step, then another. The floor feels stickier than it should, like something invisible has dried there. Drawer 9 sits waist-high, ordinary in every way, if not for the way it seems to lean forward. Waiting. Cam hesitates before touching the handle. Even through latex gloves, the metal feels wrong. Not just cold, but numb. The kind of cold that doesn't register on skin, but crawls beneath it. They don't pull, just listen. And again, knock, knock, knock. Cam pulls open the drawer. Nothing. A standard issue body bag lies within, zipped tight, but it's facing the wrong direction. Head near the back of the drawer, feet near the opening, and there's no tag. They check the toe. Nothing. They check the wrist. Blank. Then the bag shifts slightly. Just a ripple in the plastic. Like a breath. Cam freezes. Stares at the outline of the face. Eyes closed. Lips parted. The hint of teeth beneath the seam. They zip the bag halfway open. Slowly. The skin inside is blue. Puckered. Freezer burned. But the mouth is smiling. A faint curl. Not broad. Not mocking. Just pleased. Cam stares. And the eyes, slowly, painfully, open. Milky. Dry. But open. They lock onto Cam's. Then a sound, no louder than a whisper. Found you. Cam stumbles back, hits the desk behind them. They slam the drawer shut, hard. It doesn't latch. They try again. This time, it closes. Locks. Breathing hard, Cam grips the edge of the counter. Their ears ring. The room is still again. But it feels like holding a scream underwater. The wall behind the drawers hums now. Low and steady, like something breathing into the concrete. They check the drawer again. Locked, but the knocks start anew. Knock. 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 Followed by something worse. A whisper. From inside. Let me switch. Cam backs away. Turns to the hallway, but the elevator panel now reads, Drawer 9. Not a floor. Not a level. Just those words. The lights above flicker. And somewhere deeper in the hospital, far beyond the morgue, an alarm begins to bleed into the quiet. A red light flashes through the frosted window, but no footsteps follow. Cam has never crossed the red line. It runs across the hallway outside the morgue, a single strip of tape, peeling at the edges, dulled to the color of dried blood. No one talks about it. No signs explain it. But everyone walks around it. Cam used to think it was a leftover construction mark, or maybe something symbolic. A harmless superstition among the older staff. Now they're not so sure. Tonight, the red line looks different. Fresher. Wetter. Cam stands at the morgue door, staring at it. The hallway beyond seems longer than usual, like the building itself is stretching. The air past the line shimmers slightly, like heat haze, though the temperature is Arctic. There's a smell too. Not rot, not exactly iron, wet concrete, and something like burned hair. Cam doesn't step forward, but something else does. From around the corner, a flicker of movement. Too fast, too low. A shadow passes just beyond the field of vision, crawling maybe, or gliding. Cam holds their breath. The morgue door groans shut behind them, sealing them out in the corridor. The red line waits. Their foot edges forward, toe grazing. The line's edge, The moment the rubber sole touches it, a low moan rumbles beneath the floor, like something waking. Cam jerks back. The moaning stops. They retreat, heart hammering, back into the morgue. Lock the door. The air inside is worse now. Not just cold, dense, like something is filling it. Drawer. 9 is still closed, but the whispering hasn't stopped. Not since the knock. Cam can't sit still. They need answers. They open the cabinet where the old files are kept. A metal drawer no one uses anymore, dusty and rusted shut. It resists at first, but finally gives way with a dry shriek. Inside, papers, medical reports, crumpled sticky notes, and at the bottom, a folder marked Red Tape Incident. No date, no author. Just those words, in thick, red ink. Cam opens. Inside are photographs. Grainy black and white images of the hallway outside, and the red line. But the red line is not tape. Not originally, it's blood, drawn in a straight, perfect line across the floor. The next photo shows a man, an attendant, wearing Cam's uniform. He's mid-step, 1 foot across the line. The final photo shows the same hallway, empty. But now the line has moved, crooked, jagged, like it was dragged. Cam flips to the last page. It's a report, single sentence, typed, centered. The body was never found, but the footsteps kept returning. A sound outside the morgue door. 3 soft knocks. But not from inside this time, from the hallway. Cam rises slowly, walks to the small viewing slit, peers out. Nothing. But the red line is gone. Not torn, not faded. Just missing, erased, and the hallway beyond? Pitch black. Cam flicks the overhead light switch. The bulbs flicker but don't die. They just dim. Not failing. Obeying. Cam unlocks the morgue door, hesitating. Then opens it. The hallway is empty, but not silent. A slow, dragging sound echoes from beyond. The air smells wrong again, like old. Bleach and open wounds. And then, a handprint, smeared across the wall at the end of the corridor. Fresh. Wet. Fingernails missing. Cam doesn't move, but the light above them goes out. Pop. Gone. They step back. Re-enter the morgue. Close the door. But the red line is inside now. Running across the morgue floor, as if the hallway followed them in. And at the far end of the room, past the drawers, something waits. A shape. Human, almost. But wrong. Bent at the spine. Head tilted, at a hungry angle. No eyes. Just 2 dark holes, and a toe tag that flutters from its ankle. Cam stares. The tag says 1 word. Yours. The morgue is quieter now. Not peaceful. Just still. Like something's listening. Cam doesn't sleep. They no longer even pretend to. Instead, they sort through old paperwork in the back office, trying to make sense of patterns that don't line up. Files rearrange themselves, names change, entries disappear. Nothing makes sense. Except the fear. That part is constant. That's when they find it. A file tucked behind the broken drawer at the very bottom of the cabinet. Dusty. Water damaged. Bound. In string like someone meant to hide it. But not very well. It isn't labeled with any hospital logo. Just the words. Attendant log. Personal. Do not file. Cam unties the string. Opens the folder. Inside, torn notebook pages. Crude pencil sketches. A USB stick. And a note. Folded once, almost apologetically. If you're reading this, you're already too late. The handwriting is frantic, slanted like someone wrote it. While shaking, Cam flips through the pages, each one worse than the last. Entry 1. First week. Cold doesn't bother me. Silence is good. gives me space to think. But sometimes, when I finish tagging a body, the name on the log changes 5 minutes later. I asked Diane. She said the morgue has its own memory. Entry 4. Drawer 9 knocks at night, never during the day shift. Always after 12:45 a.m. Always 3 times. I stopped opening it. Entry 6. There's something under the sink. I hear it breathe when I mop the floor. I put bleach down there. It didn't help. Just smelled like fire after. Entry 8. The red line moved again. I don't step over it, but sometimes my shoes have red on them when I get home. I don't remember walking anywhere. Cam swallows, turning to a page that's been torn in half. Only a jagged sentence remains. She wears my face now. Don't let her talk to you. Then a drawing. Crude, like a child's. It shows a human figure, hunched and smiling, standing behind a morgue drawer pulled halfway open. The drawer has teeth, and inside it, a single eye. Open, watching. Cam looks toward drawer 9, still closed, still silent, for now. They plug the USB stick into the old laptop. One file, no title, just a timestamp. 00:58. Cam clicks it. The audio is low, garbled at first, then a voice, male, tired, whispering. I don't know what day it is. Doesn't matter anymore. They don't let you leave. Not really. You think you clock out, you think you go home, but parts of you stay. Parts you don't remember giving away. A breath. Don't look at the reflections. Not the metal ones. Not the freezer glass. Sometimes they blink when you don't. That's not you. That's what comes next. Cam feels the chill again. That crawling, dense cold. The voice continues. There's a cabinet under the sink. The latch is broken. I kept hearing scratching. Inside, so I duct taped it shut. Doesn't stop the smell. It gets worse if you open it after midnight. Like wet dirt and teeth. I only looked once. Static. Then one last whisper. If she calls you by name, don't answer. That's how. She finds the next one. The file ends. Cam doesn't move. Doesn't blink. They look slowly across the morgue to the cabinet beneath the sink. It looks normal. Closed. But the duct tape is there. Old. Peeling. Like it's been scratched from the inside. Cam kneels. The cabinet breathes. Not in sound. In presence. Like the space around it is slightly warped, curving toward its hollow mouth. They reach out. Their fingers touch the handle. 4:06 a.m. They stop. Because someone says their name from inside the cabinet. Soft. Familiar. Their own voice. Cam. They back away, slowly. 1 step. Then 2. Then something moves behind the glass of the freezer. Just a flicker. And the lights above flicker too. Not all at once, but in sequence. Like something walking beneath them. One by one. Click. 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 Cam rushes back to the file, flipping toward the final page. One final note. The morgue only needs one. It doesn't care who. Just don't leave the door open. Cam turns toward the entrance. The morgue door is open. A breeze moves through the room, cold and rancid, and something stands just beyond the red line, watching. The same figure from the sketch, hunched, grinning, wearing Cam's clothes and their face. Cam keeps the morgue lights dim tonight. It doesn't help. The shadows seem bolder, in the dark, more confident, like they've grown used to being seen. The freezer door stays latched. The cabinet under the sink remains taped. But something is different now. The silence watches. It doesn't just exist. It observes. Every drawer is locked. Every tag accounted for. But across the morgue, past the lab desk and gurney, is a wide, double-pane viewing window. Behind it is the smaller, sterile examination room, where they keep the camera, where they used to let families say goodbye. Cam has avoided looking into that glass for days. But tonight, they can't help it. There's someone behind the window. A woman. Long black hair. White. Hospital gown. Pale skin that almost glows in the dim fluorescent light. She stands still. Silent. Her arms hang loosely at her sides, and her eyes, glassy, wrong, are locked on Cam. Cam doesn't move. They glance at the logbook, flip quickly through the entries, then stop. Subject: K. Warren, female, DOD 6-28. Status: cremated. Disposition: final. They remember the body. Older woman. Cardiac arrest. Quiet death. There was no autopsy, no reason to hold her. Cam watched. The orderlies take her away for cremation, and yet she stands behind the glass now. Same gown, same hollow cheeks, same subtle birthmark on her collarbone. Cam moves slightly to the left. So does she. Not her body, just her eyes. They track, follow. The corners of her mouth pull upward, millimeter by millimeter. A slow grin, full of knowing. Cam walks to the door of the viewing room. It's locked. It always is from the inside. They fumble with the keys, but the lock won't turn. The woman doesn't move. Cam knocks gently on the glass. Just once. The woman raises her hand, slowly, and taps back. 1, 2, 3. Cam stumbles away. The viewing room lights flicker, and for a second, just a second, her eyes are black holes. When they stabilize again, she's gone. The room is empty, except for one thing: a toe tag, resting on the inside of the glass. Pressed flat like it was placed there on purpose. Cam leans in, reads the scrawl through the smudge. She's already inside. They return to the main desk. Try to focus. Log something. Anything. But the laptop screen flickers. The screensaver is gone, replaced by a still image. The morgue. The same exact angle Cam sits in now. But there's a woman standing directly behind them. The photo is time-stamped for 3 minutes ago. They turn. Fast. No one there. But a faint scent lingers in the air, like scorched fabric and old perfume. Cam checks the drawers again. Each one. All locked. All accounted for. Except drawer near 21. The tag reads, "Reserved for return." There's no such protocol. No one ever reserves a drawer. But inside, a folded white gown, laid out neatly, waiting, and on top of the fabric, a photograph. It shows Cam standing in the viewing room, smiling, but the face isn't theirs, it's hers. Cam checks the clock. 41 a.m., the same time it's been for, they don't know how long. Not minutes, not hours, just an eternal moment, stretched like sinew across reality. The second hand jerks. Forward, back, forward again, never committing. Cam taps the face. Nothing. The digital clock on the computer, 2:41. The timestamp on the hallway monitor, 2:41, their wristwatch, dead. Time has stopped. No. Worse. Time has chosen not to leave. Cam stands in the morgue's center, surrounded by steel drawers and refrigerated breath. Everything feels preserved, even movement, even thought. The air buzzes low. The overhead lights hum with a tone just slightly off-key, like an orchestra warming up in reverse. They try to finish tasks, organize, clean, sweep. But every time they complete something, When they look up, the same smudge appears on the wall, the same drawer is slightly ajar, the same toe tag flutters where there was none before. Everything resets. Cam begins to panic. Not in their limbs. Those remain still. The panic is beneath that. A deep, cellular tremor. They sit at the desk. The logbook is blank again. No entries. The previous pages are gone. Only a single phrase etched across the top of the paper, over and over in charcoal gray. Complete the night. The power flickers. All the lights dim to half. A low pulse starts from the freezer, like a heartbeat with no body. The drawers begin to whisper, not words, breaths. One by one, tiny exhalations, dry, stale, ancient. The temperature drops so suddenly that Cam's breath fogs in front of their lips. They stand and realize they aren't alone. Not anymore. There are figures on the tables now. Bodies that weren't there before, some wearing tags, some not. Each of them covered in sheets. Still. Waiting. Then, movement. Not violent, just a synchronized twitch, like a dream shared. A hand flexes, a foot drags slowly toward the edge of the gurney. One by one they begin to sit up. No screams. No cries. Just the sound of metal creaking beneath weight that shouldn't rise again. Cam stumbles backward, hits the counter. One body turns its head, locks eyes. The face is familiar. Cam's own, mouth sewn shut, eyes black, smiling. Behind them, the lights blink in sequence, as if counting down. Drawer number 9 opens. No body inside, just a mirror. It reflects. Nothing. Not Cam, not the room. Just a doorway. A place not meant to be seen. The bodies stand. They don't speak. They walk, slowly, to the center of the morgue, and form a circle. Their mouths do not move, but the sound begins. An ancient, low chanting. A syllable, not meant for humans. Something crooked and wet, spoken through holes, not lungs. The logbook opens by itself. Pages turn, then stop. A page with Cam's name at the top. Date of death, TBD. Beneath it, a line appears, written in blood-red ink. The night ends when you take your place. The bodies part. In the center of the morgue, the floor opens. A gurney rises, clean, empty, waiting, and a tag dangles from its side. Cam, 2:41 a.m. They look at the clock. It ticks once. 41, again. 41, and again. The drawer mirror flickers. The image shifts. Now it shows a funeral, empty chairs, closed casket, a priest reading to no one. In the front row, a woman with Cam's eyes, weeping without tears. The bodies turn their heads toward Cam. One hand reaches forward, not to grab, to offer. The tag, the pen, the choice. Cam's legs move without, meaning to. The air is syrup thick. A voice fills the room, but it doesn't come from the bodies. It comes from the walls, from the tile, from the moment. The night only ends for the dead. Cam steps forward. Hand hovers above the gurney. Everything stops. No breathing, no sound, no light. Just 2:41 forever. Cam no longer counts the time, because time has turned its back. The clock says 2:41, but even that feels performative now. A pageant of seconds played out for the sake of fear. They sit at the morgue desk, unmoving, watching the lights flicker in rhythmic patterns overhead. Each pulse a breath. Each breath a warning. Somewhere behind the walls the walkers have started again. Not screams, not footsteps. Just the soft, rubbery thuds of someone pacing through a room they cannot leave. Cam listens. They know the path now. 7 steps down the left hall. Turn. 6 back. Repeat. But no one's there. No one living. They glance toward the whiteboard mounted on the wall. It's blank. Then it isn't. Names scrawl themselves across the surface in looping, jerking strokes. One by one. Thompson, Warren M. Stevenson, unknown, 9. And at the bottom, Cameron Belcam freezes. That name hasn't been written down anywhere. Not on a single form. Not aloud. Not in the logs. Only they knew it. Until now. They approach the board, hand trembling. Erase the name. It reappears. But the handwriting is different. More precise. Confident. Like it was written by someone who's been writing it for years. Behind them, a drawer creaks. Cam turns. One of the cold compartments hangs slightly open. Drawer sucker 27. It had always been sealed, always empty. But tonight, the tag dangles. A single name. Cameron Bell, time of death, 2:41. Their breath catches, their chest tightens. They back away, but the morgue feels smaller now, like the walls have leaned in to listen. The air thickens, the lights above die with a pop, one by one, until the only glow is from the screen on the desk. Cam stumbles back toward it. The monitor flickers and not showing the hallway, not the freezer, but the morgue itself, from above, from a vantage point that shouldn't exist. And in the grainy feed, Cam is not alone. A figure stands just outside the edge of the frame. Not moving, not approaching, just watching. Cam turns in real life. No one there. But the figure in the feed has moved closer. Another drawer opens. Softly. Almost reverently. Then another. Then all of them. 31 drawers open in unison. One remains shut. Cam's. Drawer number 27. The walls begin to hum. A low, thunderous vibration that rattles bone but not furniture. It's not a sound. It's a presence, and it's waking up. From the far end of the morgue, the viewing glass begins to fog. 2 handprints appear, small, perfect ovals of pressure. Then a face, the woman from before, smiling again. But now her teeth are black. Cam can't breathe, not because of fear, because the morgue has taken the air. Behind them, the gurney rises again. Sheets folded. Tag waiting. Drawer number 27 pulls itself fully open. Just the right size. A whisper leaks from the vents. You were never alone. Down here, the walls creak. The bodies in the freezer begin to sit up. Cam stumbles, hands brushing against the cold metal drawers, slipping on a floor that now pulses beneath their feet. They fall to their knees. Look up. The figure from the screen is standing, at the gurney now, only this time it isn't watching, it's pointing, to the drawer. The name on the whiteboard flickers red, then fades, every other name disappears, only one remains, yours.